We welcome you to Greenville, North Carolina. The Pigskin Pig Out is back inside of Clark LeClaire Stadium, ready for some great barbecue and two high-quality clubs in the American Athletic Conference. The Wichita St Shockers, they take on the host, the East Carolina Pirates. These clubs want to eat some great barbecue this weekend and gear up for the start of American athletic play. We welcome you inside the broadcast booth with Brantley Hatridge. I'm Evan Budrovich. This starting pitching matchup, very unique, Brantley. Ryder Giles, the most effective arm in East Carolina's pen, moves into the starting role this last month. He faces Jace Kaminska, the reigning pitcher of the week in the American. What a unique matchup starting pitching-wise. It
is. I mean, Ryder Giles, his 8th appearance of the season now, 4th start, 18 innings pitched, has not given up a run yet. But then you talk about Jace Kaminska. I mean, he's had 6 of his 7 starts have been quality starts. He's the true ace for this Shockers team, and you see
and that's
why.
The ace of spades. 8 scoreless innings in his last start. If Wichita State's going to be a great club, it all starts with Kaminska on the mound.
Well, I mean, anytime that you can have double-digit strikeouts, as you see right there, 12 strikeouts last week versus Houston, 4 hits given up, but the big number to me, Evan, the 0 free passes. Anytime that you can have a 0 in walks, you've done a good job on the mound.
Kaminska counters against East Carolina's surging weekend starter, Ryder Giles, who's typically been in the Saturday role. This is an arm who did not pitch many innings leading into his junior year, but has become the most effective arm in the staff. What a nice luxury for Cliff Godwin to move him up into the Friday role.
Well, I think it's a testament to the hard work of Ryder Giles. I mean, opponents are hitting a $154 against the right-hander, so what that tells me, he's getting a lot of weak contact, a lot of swing and misses. He's got 15 strikeouts in just over 18 innings of work, so he pitches to contact, but a lot of weak contact.
He was the starting shortstop last year, and in the fall leading into this season, Cliff Godwin gave Giles a chance to pitch out of the pen in fall starts. He was the best, most effective arm, earning himself into the rotation. So this is where the money rubber hits the road in American athletic play. Week 2 of conference action. And Chuck Ingram, the leadoff center fielder, takes a strike. This lineup features Sawyer Thornhill, who's reached base in every game this year, and Ingram, the top power threat for the Shockers.
And it's interesting that the top power threat for Wichita State is the leadoff batter. He's somebody that can put the Shockers on board early. You see 7 home runs on the season, so he has the ability to drive it out of the ballpark.
This is a Wichita State club looking to get their offense moving under Eric Wedge, the former Cleveland Guardians head coach. A club that is 8th in the American in batting average, bottom 3rd in home runs. And a quick strikeout of Ingram, so a nice start for Ryder Giles.
That arm angle for Giles is so hard to pick up. He kind of like that sidearm 3/4. But the way he's able to create that extra spin on his slider right there, it didn't have that drop, so to speak, that you see out of normal sliders, but with that arm angle, it tails away from right-handers and makes it a very tough pitch to hit.
Well, call your friends at Pitch Ninja, Brantley. That ball had some movement to it to start this matchup. 14th all-time meeting as Brock Rodden shoots one towards the ECU bullpen. And in last year's series, it was so unique. Both teams run-ruled each other on a Friday doubleheader. Then Wichita State held on in Game 4. So it was a split matchup. This is a Wichita team that eliminated East Carolina from the conference tournament 2 years ago. There's a growing sense of rivalry with these two clubs. Which every year is different, right? One year to the next. But give me a sense as a player, that aspect of a rivalry that builds between two surging programs.
Well, when the teams are so evenly matched, like these two are, East Carolina and Wichita State, you know, you try to give yourself a competitive edge anywhere you can. And like you talked about, Evan, Wichita State eliminated East Carolina a couple years back. So the Pirates, you know, kind of want to get that revenge and, you know, possibly take a series here this weekend.
East Carolina, who's won 3 of the last 4 titles in the American in the regular season. Wichita's been their thorn in their side, but no trouble for Giles with 2 strikeouts.
I know it's the first inning, Evan, but Ryder Giles is locked in. First 2 batters walking back to the dugout by the way of the strikeout, and that's going to be a key pitch for Ryder Giles tonight, the changeup to neutralize those left-handed bats.
It's not just a funky arm angle. It's a great strikeout to walk ratio. 17-4 for an arm who had less than 10 innings of experience leading into this season.
And I think that's a testament to the hard work that he put in. Like you talked about, Coach Godwin said, we'll give you a couple opportunities, see how you are, and now he's the Friday night guy.
Sliding into a role that's been a seesaw of options for East Carolina. The starting pitcher, the ace, entering the year, unavailable this season. So it's been a hodgepodge of names filling that spot. Sort of that survive and advance mentality that you see in postseason play. It's become a factor for the ECU staff all year. And that's a challenge for any team. Part of the reason why East Carolina is 16-14.
Well, and another cliche that you've heard often enough is that next man up mentality. When your ace of your staff goes down early in the season, it's who's going to take the spot. You're not going to be able to replace him, but who can do a good job and try to help steady the ship, so to speak.
Some of the big names like Jake Kuchmaner haven't necessarily lived up to the billing as that Friday role, battling some injuries, working his way back. So it's all about finding who's the next best option for a team with high expectations in East Carolina. Preseason top 25. Boy, this fly ball has some jolt on it. Thornhill shoots one deep to center, and that's off the wall. Thornhill has reached base in every game this year and legs out a 2-out triple.
Yeah, it's always nice to get that on-base streak continuing in your very first at-bat. And Sawyer Thornhill takes advantage of that 2-2 pitch. The changeup from Giles just didn't get low enough. Barely staying in the park, though.
In the words of T. Swift, are we out of the woods yet? Are we out of the woods? Because Thornhill, he's been a trouble for any pitcher in the country.
Well, I'll tell you this. Technically, it's not a home run, so an out here, it's no harm, no foul. It's just a very long triple for Wichita State. So Ryder Giles, settle down back here, try to get a ground ball for your team and get out of this inning.
This is Xavier Casarella taking the strike, the third baseman for the Shockers. Wichita State features a very young lineup, and in today's matchup, you'll see 4 freshmen, 2 sophomores in the main attack for Eric Wedge's club. And that 2-seamer finds the edge of the zone. Some of the arm angles that Ryder Giles provides, such a challenging matchup for Casarella and this whole offense.
Well, it is. It's not your normal pitching motion, coming over the top or even kind of off to the side. I mean, Ryder Giles is pretty much at sidearm level.
And he gets a strikeout. 3 Ks for Ryder Giles. Doesn't matter what angle it's coming from. Giles pretty darn effective with a scoreless first.
Ryder Giles just really on point with that slider right now. Gets 3 big strikeouts to get to the bottom half of that first.
Take a look at the reigning pitcher of the week in the American Athletic Conference, Jace Kaminska. All he did was go 8 scoreless in a victory over Houston last Friday. What a challenging matchup for an East Carolina offense that would love to get going.
It would, and Kaminska is going to be a hard opportunity to do so. He's had 6 of his 7 starts this season have all gone past the 5th inning. So he's someone that's Wichita State and head coach Eric Wedge are looking to get a quality start out of, and he's looking to build off of that Friday night game against Houston last week where he had those 12 strikeouts.
So let's take a look at Cliff Godwin's lineup. An East Carolina offense hitting .266 coming in. Maybe none better than Lane Hoover in the 2 spot. He's hitting .380 in conference play.
I mean, conference season is a completely different season. You throw out the stats, it's about what you can do when conference time gets here. And so, you know, ECU looking to try to build on their conference. I mean, 2-1 on the season, trying to take a big series against Wichita State.
This is a series that has sneaky playoff implications. I know we're 2 weeks into the conference, but with Tulane and Houston emerging as some of the top teams in the league, who's going to join that second tier or even rise to the top tier in conference play? There's a first pitch strike to Zach Agnos. And boy, does Zach have some experience. His brother was a standout, do-it-all, all-conference pitcher for East Carolina. Set the American single-season strikeout record in 2019. Now his younger brother, who also pitches as well for this club, Utility U here in Greenville. Agnos can't catch up to the breaking ball. Agnos went 3 for 5 on Wednesday. So he now has a team best 12 multi-hit games. Chance to match his numbers sake this weekend with getting on base. And nothing's more challenging from an offensive standpoint than facing a starting pitcher who's about as locked in as anyone in the country with Kaminska's 12 punch-outs last week.
It is. I mean, early on in the ball game, you're trying to figure out what the home plate umpire strike zone is, while at the same time, try to figure out what the opposing pitcher has working for him. That's why the leadoff batter is such an important batter of every single ball game, because if a leadoff batter can find a way to work a count and see as many pitches as possible, you see the changeup, you'll see a slider, maybe even a curveball. You can see the whole repertoire. It helps your team out.
I love the use of the French there as Agnos grounds one to third. Good chest for Casarella and a quick out for Wichita State. Both these teams thrive when scoring first. Double-digit wins for each. How important tonight with quality starting pitching will quick offense be?
Well, with the way Ryder Giles has been pitching, and then you know what you have with Jace Kaminska, I feel like runs are going to be at a premium. So if you get an opportunity early on, a runner on second, nobody out or one out, and try to execute the small ball, the bunts, the hit and runs, little things like that, because runs will be at a premium.
No one in the American Athletic Conference is hitting better right now than Lane Hoover in his first 3 games. He has 9 hits in the first weekend at Cincinnati. Now, that is a hitter's ballpark, but he exploded 37 multi-hit games in the junior's career, North Carolina native. And facing the reigning pitcher of the week in Kaminska, who was under 100 pitches in 8 innings. He was cruising. And boy, if you want to earn your money's worth in this matchup, it's strength versus strength.
That's even more impressive about Kaminska's stat line. To be under 100 pitches, 8 innings of work, and get 12 strikeouts shows that when he wasn't striking out batters, he was getting them out early.
Last year when these teams met, Kaminska was brilliant. 7 innings, a 2-run ball. That was a run rule 7 innings, so a complete game win for Kaminska. These clubs split the series last year in Wichita. Now that's the pitch. If Kaminska can locate that tailing 2-seam fastball, he's got a great 3-pitch mix in the eyes of Eric Wedge. And it's kept hitters out of the Big 12 off balance, the American Athletic. He's had some quality starts this year. Coach Palumbo is ready to go over there at first base. He had a mean fungo pregame. Had a great job getting the infield involved.
I enjoy getting to ball games early, Evan, and watching the in and out of both teams just to watch the quality of the fungo hitting. I got to do that my senior year in college. I was terrible at it.
Wait, you were a player hitting fungo for your defense?
In batting practice before the game, I would get the opportunity to hit fungos to the second baseman and the third baseman. And
well, let's hope you hit it as well as Palumbo. East Carolina's defense now ranks 8th in the country in fielding percentage.
I mean, when you have good pitching and even better defense to follow behind it, you're going to find yourself in a lot of ball games.
Lane Hoover, who leads the American Athletic in batting average, stays alive and works the count full. Kaminska in that 8-inning start, he did not walk a batter with 12 strikeouts. the reigning pitcher of the week in the conference, and he faces a scrappy lineup. Cliff Godwin describes his offense as hard to kill, setting up an important 8th pitch in this at-bat. You guessed it, fouled away. Because this lineup for East Carolina, this iteration, is not going to hit the 75 home runs of last year's team. So how valuable are these type of at-bats?
They're monumental, and I know it's the first inning, and I hate to use that word, but this is a very important at-bat regardless of outcome for East Carolina. They're seeing what Jace can throw.
So let's compare these two offenses, Brantley, because the clubs are nearly dead even when you look at some of the key categories: runs, hits, doubles. The real difference has been East Carolina gets on base just a tick higher.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great weekend between the Pirates and the Shockers, because these teams, like you mentioned, you can see right here, they're so evenly matched. So what that tells me is this game, this weekend, is going to come down to who can execute the best, who can play the best defense, who can take care of sacrifice bunts and flies and find a way to get runs across.
There's a reason these two clubs were picked both in the top third in the conference, both returning some big players in terms of key contributors. These two clubs in Tulane had the high expectations. Now, who's going to live up to them? That's the real question, as Josh Moylan gets his first at-bat. Moylan's been off to a slow start in his junior campaign, 0 for the last 7 at the plate. And with the sun shining bright here on a beautiful Friday night, the first Friday night game in conference play here in Greenville. Spring football game this weekend, of course, the Pigskin Pig Out coming up. So we saw the shots in the pregame. A lot of barbecue being consumed. And look at that dandy of a pitch, just miss inside.
Yeah, North Carolina, we love our barbecue over here, and a pigskin, pig picking. Those are some wild times. Those are some fun times for sure.
What a beautiful scene here in Greenville as the 3-1 comes home. And just like you expected, a little peach cobbler fouled off. Boy, that sounds good. Mac and cheese, some coleslaw.
A little potato salad mixed in.
Potato salad mixed in, yep. Cornbread.
And then the staple, the pig.
Josh Moylan with some tenderloin potential. He's the top-rated second baseman in the 2023 class in this conference, and hits a high fly ball in a left field. Seth Stroh there to end the inning. So a scoreless first. We expected a pitcher's duel. It's lived up to the billing so far. Former Wichita State Shocker and College World Series champion Eric Wedge leads the Shockers in year 3 He called this the perfect job, returning from the Cleveland Guardians organization to now running his alma mater. This is a turnaround program that has some nice expectations this year.
Yeah, and Eric Wedge is a fantastic coach. Obviously, spent a lot of time in the majors with the Mariners and the Guardians, but he brings a wealth of experience and knowledge to the Shocker program. And these kids, get the opportunity to play for a former major league manager. You just got to sit back and soak up that every single day.
Wedge brought an entire major league staff with him. Mike Pelfry is pitching coach, pitched in the big leagues. Mike Sirianni was an assistant in the big league level. So professional experience here for Wichita. A program that has reached the College World Series 7 times, but has not made it since 1996. Ryder Giles grooves in a strike. The way both these programs will get back to Omaha clearly is starting pitching, and we've seen good starters here tonight.
Yeah, both pitchers for Wichita State and East Carolina have really been dialed in the first inning. Giles facing 1 over the minimum, and Wichita State going down 1-2-3.
What a stab at Makarevich, and his throw is in time. East Carolina's top 10 defense flashing the leather.
You talked about it, Evan. I mean, defense helps win ball games, and when you have play like that by Makarevich over there at third, you see him lay out. What a fantastic job there. He had the time, showed off the arm, and threw a strike over to Moylan at first.
Cliff Godwin has mentioned every time we have a conversation, he prides 3 things in his program: competitive energy, doing well in the classroom, and playing pitching and defense. This club may not be offensive minded this year, but that defense is carried over.
Well, listen, good pitching and defense can win you a lot of ball games. You don't see a whole lot of teams be successful when they just flat out hit everybody. Bats are going to go cold at some point, but solid defense can be there all year long.
And that defense for the Pirates near a .980 fielding percentages. Sedina, now where was he hit? That actually hit his bat, so it's a foul ball. Let's be the judge at home here. See that side eye to the home plate umpire. Ryan Broussard behind the plate. So now Ryder Giles is sitting pretty, riding 3 strikeouts in the first inning. Here's the 0-2. I tell you, the varying of angles that Giles can provide. Remember, he's the starting shortstop for East Carolina. Such a challenge for Sedina in this offense.
It is, and when you throw from that angle, you can have double the amount of pitches when it comes to your breaking balls, because you have the sweeping slider, and then you can have that frisbee slider. Like when you need to throw a off-speed pitch for a strike, he can come back and throw something similar to that frisbee type slider.
I mean, look at that pitch. It's like the jug machine where you throw routes to the punters in the air. You just fly them up there and see where they go. Giles, a former infielder who asked the coach this offseason, Cliff Godwin, can I get some innings on the mound? This fall, he was given an opportunity, had the best appearances of any reliever for ECU. He's now moved into the starting rotation. And here on Friday night, give him 4 strikeouts with the 2-seam fastball.
Through an inning and 2/3, Ryder Giles is telling his coach, say, hey, you're going to leave me here all year long. I'm going to be that guy for you. 4 strikeouts now through an inning and 2/3. That is just fantastic, and just hitting his spot perfectly.
20 scoreless innings for Giles this year. A pitcher who has certainly risen up the ranks from a Saturday starter the last 3 weeks, now into the Friday role. That's what makes this part of the conference play so interesting, Brantley. It's the new heroes that can emerge 2 weeks into conference.
Well, it's just like any sport, but in baseball, all you need is an opportunity, a chance to do something, whether it's a pinch hit role, a defensive replacement, or in Ryder Giles' case, an opportunity on the bump, and he's making the most of it here in 2022.
Seth Stroh out in front of the changeup. Started 36 games as a freshman last year, did Stroh. He played in multiple spots, all 3 outfield positions. Today he works in left field. And the Kearney, Nebraska products down 1-2. How about Ryder Giles looking for his 5th strikeout? Ben Newton works behind the plate. He's the 4th different catcher to start for East Carolina. And if there's any one defensive spot where ECU's been a liability, it has been behind the plate.
And that's a very tough spot to have defensive struggles.
How about the strikeout work? Who needs the defense when Giles is riling up the case? Give him 5 punch-outs in 2 innings. Ryder Giles pitching next-level work. How about this start? Whew, that pitch just fell off the table for strike 3. Here's East Carolina head coach Cliff Godwin searching for his 275th win tonight. He mentioned to us this week, starting to figure out the right lineup offensively, even from the pitching side of things with Ryder Giles. And his clubs responded. Nice series win at Cincinnati. They look to win again here at home against Wichita State. Yeah,
the 3-time coach of the year mentioned, we're just trying to figure things out right now. Who's going to be our 1 through 9? Who's going to be on the bump for us? And, Ryder Giles through 2 innings has given his coach, not a lot to think about going forward.
To your point, Cam Clonch, who's hit in 5 different spots in the order, he hits cleanup tonight as the DH. And in limited action has shown some major pop, including 3 home runs. Now, good luck touching Jace Kaminska, who in now his last 10 innings dating back to the start of March, he's given up just 2 runs. I mean, this is almost untouchable work from Kaminska.
It really is, and it's because he's able to hit the spots and work off of that fastball. His real tight spin on the curveball, very hard for hitters to pick up.
Clonch stays alive here. His coming out party was in this ballpark against North Carolina in a home win. And we talked about it pregame. That was a 3-2 back and forth game, a 4-hour slugfest, grinded out type of night. That's the style that Cliff Godwin's very comfortable playing, and his team seems to respond to.
Yeah, and any time East Carolina takes on, those other North Carolina schools, the Tar Heels, the Wolfpack, the Blue Devils, Wake Forest.
Boy, Clonch has stepped up again with a base hit. And this time he rips one all the way to the wall. Wants a double, and he's got it, diving in head first. Something about big opponents for Cam Clonch.
I mean, for East Carolina, this is a great way to start off this second inning. We know that Jace Kaminska, what he brings to the table. So anytime you can get a leadoff batter aboard like Clonch there, but to get all the way to second on a leadoff double, East Carolina can do a lot of different things here. They can try to move him over with a bunt. You can, with a lefty at the plate, anything pulled to the right side, runners going over to third anyway.
That's 3 doubles in the last 2 weeks for Cam Clonch, having a coming out party in conference play. Now, something East Carolina's thrived in this year is sacrifice bunts and sacrifice flies. Top 10 in both categories. So the offense a little different in 22. How does Makarevich handle this at bat?
Because he's a lefty, he's swinging here. Okay. He's looking to pull the ball somewhere to hit it hard, try to barrel it up. If Makarevich was a righty, pretty good chance he'd be bunting.
Oh my gosh, here's a line drive, and on cue hits one foul. So that's the swing you're looking for if you're East Carolina.
You know, with it being a 0-2 count now on Makarevich, try to shorten things up here. Excuse me, it's only one strike now. So the key here is, you know, you get one more chance to try to really pull one. But if Makarevich finds himself with 2 strikes, he needs to shorten up and just find a way to pull it.
He gets one last daddy hack, riding a 4-game hit streak. Whew, that pitch is beautiful for strike 2. If Kaminska can locate the inside corner to a lefty, he may be untouchable tonight.
The inner half of the plate, especially with how hard these pitchers throw nowadays, to be able to establish that inner half of the plate is paramount, because you can then work off of that. Hitters are going to try to take away a third of the plate, whether it's the middle, where it's that inner or outer.
Look how far outside Kadina's set up, trying to dare Makarevich to swing. In the middle of this stretch, we mentioned the 4-game hit streak. How about 7 runs batted in, and 7 hits? Lucky 7s for Mr. 99, old Yasiel Puig's number. Didn't Manny Ramirez wear 99 as well?
He did.
Something about those high numbers. It has been red hot for Makarevich in the middle of this lineup. And he gulps one into right field, so that's a base hit. Here comes Claunch, held at third base. And the Pirates with runners of the corners.
Makarevich doesn't try to do too much with this one, just gets enough of the end of the bat on the Kaminska pitch, and East Carolina's got runners at the corners now, Evan. Nobody out.
Sawyer Thornhill has an excellent arm in right field, so I understand why Cliff Godwin put on the stop sign there. But for a team that has struggled to manufacture runs, you do wonder in that spot. Let the offense go to work or test the outfield arm. I know there's nobody out, but it is something to keep an eye on as this inning continues. It's Jacob Starling. He'll give one more chance for Thornhill. This is a nice effort and can't hang on. That hit the foul pole. Actually, I think they hit the gate of the bullpen, didn't it?
Yeah, I think so too, but sorry, Thornhill really having to go a long way to try to make that catch. See, he looks a little bit winded out there in right field. It's probably best that he didn't make that catch, because the runner at third, Claunch, easily would have scored.
Thornhill, this is his 3rd school in 3 years. Northeast Texas Community College, Angelina College. Now in his junior year here in Wichita, Kansas. This crowd trying to be a factor, looking to motivate its team. East Carolina came off a 1-run loss to top 30 Old Dominion on Wednesday. It's been another handful of games where ECU's had leads early, lost leads late. And that 16-14 record, Cliff Godwin told us this week, could easily be 20-10. It could also be 14-18. Just how close the games have been this year.
It is, and I think that's a testament to how resilient his team is, battling through all 9 innings.
As Starling brings in the first run with an RBI single. So 3 straight hits for the Pirates as they strike first. The last time that Jace Kaminska had allowed 3 hits in an inning, Brantley, you have to go all the way back to March 18th.
And it's frustrating for Kaminska right there. He made a perfect pitch to Starling right there it was actually below the knees, but Starling taking advantage, knowing how this field plays, just bounces it right in the circle at home plate and takes that hard bounce into left field.
This is the 19th game East Carolina has scored first. They've won 80% of those contests. And now Jacob Jenkins Coward. Try saying that name 5 times fast. The true freshman digs in.
And I could see this being a bunt situation for Jenkins Coward with nobody out, runners on first and second.
Coward's been an RBI machine in the last 2 weeks. 8 runs batted in. in the Cincinnati series. So that's a third of his total production in 1 week. That's all to start conference play.
Heck of a time to start getting the bat going is when conference play starts.
A 3-time captain in high school at Southeast Gifford here in Greensboro. Oh, a little slash is called, and it's fair. Over the bag at third past Casarella, and a second East Carolina run scores. Little situational hitting makes it 2-0.
And the funny thing there, Evan, the runners were not off on the pitch. With Jenkins, he's showing bunt and pulls it back and just perfectly down that third base line.
Pull cue corner pocket for Jacob Jenkins Coward, whose hot streak continues. Give him 9 runs batted in 4 conference games. His double celebration a little young, but I like it. Just the peace signs at second base. And this will bring on the pitching coach, Mike Pelfry, for Wichita State.
Well, at first it looked like it was going to be a single for the East Carolina right fielder, but as he ran around third or came around first base, he noticed that the ball was still rolling in left field, so he takes 2 and he gets credited with the double.
Mike Pelfry, who was a first-team All-Conference and All-American at Wichita State back in 2005. He guides a pitching staff that has not been stellar this year, and it's really trying to find the right arms in certain situations. That's what Eric Wedge mentioned this week. They haven't found their cohesiveness with this staff.
And it's tough. And it's tough to do so, whenever you're still trying to figure things out. It's, second weekend of conference play. You forget about what's going on prior to conference play. What matters now is making sure that you're performing at your optimum levels when you're taking on conference opponents. So this is something that Kaminska last weekend, he was flawless against Houston, struggling a little bit here against East Carolina. Runners at second and third, nobody out.
And this East Carolina offense that led the American in scoring last year has shown some signs of life here in the first home conference series for ECU. Bryson Worrell, a key starter from last year's team, digs in.
Kaminska needs to find a way to get a strikeout here or a shallow pop flyer that doesn't allow an East Carolina runner to score.
4 straight hits for the Pirates in this second inning. And Worrell laid on a sweeping slider. This has been a bugaboo for Worrell, hitting 136 with men in scoring position. And you contrast that to what he did last year, top 3 on the team in RBI. So it's been a difficult upcoming year in his senior season.
It is, and it's tough, somebody like Bryson Worrell. Eventually he's going to figure out he's going to start getting those timely hits. Just right now, unfortunate for him in getting those.
That's a great pitch. So Kaminska's up 1-2. Last year for Worrell, second in steals, doubles, and sack bunts for East Carolina. So a super utility hitter. Now the grad senior looks to continue a tumultuous second inning for Jace Kaminska. That was pitched 30 alone in the inning, and he gets a huge strikeout for the first out.
Great time to get your first strikeout of the evening for Jace Kaminska, and you see that curveball just falls off the table. Great job there by Cadena behind the plate to be able to block that one up.
Eric Wedge mentioned that Kaminska has 1+ pitch, even at the big league level. That was that curveball we just saw. A 3-pitch mix, slider, fastball, curve. And he kept Houston hitters off balance. 12 strikeouts and 8 scoreless innings last Friday in Houston, Texas. Here halfway across the country in Greenville, North Carolina. He falls behind 2-0. And faces the bottom of this ECU lineup. Ben Newton, the senior catcher. He earns his 14th start, but one of 4 different catchers to start multiple games for the Pirates. Newton had 2 hits in the Cincinnati series. He started all 3 games. And for any catcher, it would feel like consistency and constant playing time is the biggest key to success.
Well, it's a rhythm factor for a catcher as well, just as much for a pitcher. Catcher that's in a rhythm, being able to block balls, and keeping runners from advancing. That's a huge part of being behind the plate.
Now on 2-0, there's a cupcake that's fouled off. How about the start to this inning, though? 4 straight hits for East Carolina. And if they can add any bit of insurance here, that'd be huge for Ryder Giles.
It is, because Jace Kaminska, he talked about it. Only 1 start did not make it to the 5th inning this year, so he is the workhorse for this Shockers team. So whenever an ace is struggling early, you got to try to jump on them, because eventually they're going to settle down.
Eric Wedge mentioning the key to success this weekend is how far Kaminska can go. Here's a suicide squeeze, and that brings home the 3rd run. Cliff Godwin is a master at small ball, and it pays off there.
Yeah, that's something that you don't see that often anymore, is the suicide squeeze. Normally you see the safety squeeze where the runner at 3rd needs to see the ball down, but right there the Pirate runner was breaking before the pitch was even thrown, and he scores before Kaminska even picks up the ball.
And Jacob Starling's holding his breath, hoping contact's made there. Kind of crazy, right, Brantley? An inning where there was 4 hits, a run scores on a squeeze bunt. That's the creativity of this ECU offense. Comes in hitting .266. Hasn't been the prettiest brand of baseball this year, but effective given the loss of nearly 40 combined home runs from last year's team with Thomas Francisco and the like drafted. 3 drafted offensive pieces. Hard to replace that level of production.
You can't really replace that production, but what Cliff Godwin is showing is a willingness to adapt to what his team does well. And you saw right there from Newton, Ben Newton perfectly placed bunt. And that's how you can earn more playing time, is when you execute on the offensive as well as playing defensive.
The likes of Connor Norby, Thomas Francisco drafted at the hitting ranks. How about the thought of another bunt? That was 35 combined home runs in this offense you have to replace. And it just hasn't been there for East Carolina this year. Not a power hitting team. So Agnos looks to continue this 2nd inning rally. 3 runs on 4 hits against the reigning pitcher of the week in the American. Boy, Agnos didn't miss by much there.
He didn't, and the catcher Cardena took the brunt of that foul ball right off the mask. Good job there by the home plate umpire Ryan Broussard. The gamesmanship within the game, giving the Shocker catcher a chance to collect himself a little bit.
Ross Cardena, a 3-year starter behind the plate. And he is barreling the load back there for the Shockers in the all-white. The Stormtrooper look. Boy, Agnos hits one high into the air. This stays in the park, and the Pirates score 3 runs in the 2nd inning. The reigning pitcher of the week, Kaminska, is human after all. 4 straight hits to start the inning, and ECU with some small ball, some big ball, some productive baseball, leading to a 3-run start. So Wichita State looks to reach the NCAA tournament for the first time since 2013, overcoming a difficult start in non-conference play. But they played some great baseball in the month of March, including a tough luck one-run loss to Oklahoma State on Tuesday.
Yeah, anytime you can play, those Big 12 schools and play quality games, close games, as you mentioned, a tough luck loss, that one-run differential. But 1-2 at Houston last weekend. It's the second weekend of conference play, so still an opportunity to bounce back here, win a series, and kind of get the momentum going through the rest of the conference season.
There's a ground ball in the very first pitch. Wichita State has the best strength of schedule in the American Athletic Conference, and Eric Wedge, the former Cleveland Guardians manager, he credits his operations man, Lauren Hibbs, for scheduling a difficult non-conference. Oklahoma State, Oklahoma, Kansas, Kansas State, all in the non-conference for home and homes. It has built this Wichita team ready for conference play.
It has, and I mean that's what you got to do. You need to play, those Big 12 teams as much as you possibly can. I mean, they started off the season with Louisiana Tech, who hosted a regional last year.
Don't sleep on the Pepperdine Waves, the top 50 club as well. Maybe the best view in college baseball overlooking the Pacific Ocean in left field.
I don't know. I saw a picture the other day of the BYU baseball field with the mountains in the background. That is something.
How about the jungle in left field here in Greenville? There's a lot of great left field perspectives in college baseball.
I haven't been to a lot of collegiate parks, but I have to tell you, seeing all these fans, all that purple out there in the jungle, it's one of the most unique atmospheres that I think I've personally gotten to see.
And Ryder Giles is putting on a show for this home fan base. A season and career high, 5 strikeouts so far. Good fight here from Jordan Rogers. Now, if this was Savannah Bananas baseball, that'd be an out.
That's an out
with a fan catching the foul ball.
I brought that up in a game I got to call the other day, and the guy I was working. He goes, "Are you serious?" I showed him the video. It was a foul ball caught by a fan, and the home plate umpire called the hitter out. He couldn't believe it. The Savannah Bananas are the greatest show on the turf right now, I swear.
Eric Burns is the manager for the Bananas. Both him and Eric Wedge, major league experience at the highest levels. Wedge returning to his alma mater, where the Shockers made the College World Series when Wedge was a senior. A homegrown kid. His staff, Pelfry, who grew up in Wichita, very close to the program, his pitching coach. 2 coaches who take great pride in rebuilding the Shockers here in the American. Oh my gosh. I mean, that pitch went from inner corner to opposite batter's box.
And Ben Newton really has his work cut out for him tonight, the East Carolina catcher. I mean,
he's going to put those shin guards to work.
He really is. He's going to have to work on that electric slide back there.
So now on 2-2 to Jordan Rogers. He smokes one out of play. We talked about Eric Wedge rebuilding his alma mater. Think about Cliff Godwin, an all-conference standout behind the plate for the Pirates in his playing days. 2 coaches take tremendous pride in getting their teams back to not only regional play, but trying for ECU to get to an Omaha berth. That's never happened for this program. And for Wichita State, it's been 25 years since the Shockers have made the College World Series.
Well, I mean, the Pirates last year, they went to Vanderbilt and played some of the hardest baseball that you got to see in the super regionals. Those tough luck losses to the Commodores, both were so close. A pitch here, a pitch there, and it could have been East Carolina in Omaha instead of Vanderbilt. 2
straight years in the supers for Cliff Godwin's team. Now his club looks to stay a couple games over 500. As Giles adds on with his 6th strikeout. Well, I tell you what, this is a recipe for success with Giles pumping in the Kings.
Yeah, the defense looking at him and saying, hey man, can we get a little bit of this? As he's just striking out batters left and right. 6 on the night. He gets that one in under the hands of Rogers perfectly.
So you're saying Ryder Giles in his head singing the song R-E-S-P-E-C-T. Don't know what it means to me.
No, sure. I mean, it sure doesn't, but I can tell you right now, with every strikeout, Cliff Godwin is changing it from pencil on Friday night to pen when he's writing in Ryder Giles' name for who his starter is going to be.
Giles was not part of the weekend rotation. when the year started and has emerged into the Saturday role at the start of conference play. Now he's becoming arguably the most effective starter for the Pirates, which is a hard transition. He'll get a second out here on a fly ball to Bryson Worrell. There's certainly an added benefit with two major starters not pitching up to their potential this year for ECU, and then you mix in the rest of this staff. Because from a pitching standpoint, neither of these teams are prolific in the American Athletic Conference, but with good defenses behind them and high strikeout numbers for Giles and company, this is a Pirate staff that can be dangerous.
Yeah, and that team ERA of 4.47, you know, as you continue to build some continuity, as the season gets better, as your arms get more experience and more opportunities out there, you're going to see that team ERA start to go down a little bit because East Carolina has some really quality pitching, and so does Wichita State. I mean, we talked about Jace Kaminska. He's obviously not the same Kaminska that faced Houston last Friday night, but he's still doing a very good job. He was flawless in the first, got touched up in a little bit in the second, but I expect him to come back out in the third and do very well.
This ball is bobbled at first by Moylan, and everyone's safe. You roll it a hit or an error there. I know there's some home scorekeeping that can play a factor, but I think that might be East Carolina's only their 20th error of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote down error on the first baseman. There was multiple opportunities for Moylan to make the play. So I think that one's going to be charged an error to the Pirate first baseman.
Because East Carolina rocks an 8th best fielding percentage in the country. Now you're right, on first glance, I would say error, and that is ruled an error on the scorecard. So here's Brock Rodden, who tests this defense again. Well, that's clean work for Ryder Giles. One man reaches, and that's it. The Pirates lead 3-0 as the heart of the order comes up next. Welcome back to Greenville, North Carolina. This is an ECU team that has bounced back from a difficult start to the year. And Brantley, maybe the biggest key for ECU is playing much better here at home. Wins over Maryland and Michigan in non-conference play. Now looking to earn a first conference win at home tonight.
It is. It's a good opportunity for East Carolina. You mentioned they were on the road last weekend at Cincinnati. They took the series winning 2 of 3. First opportunity for the home fans to see the Pirates in action in conference play.
Lane Hoover, who's been the best hitter in the American Athletic Conference, takes strike one. Even that first at bat, it was a 10-pitch battle with Hoover and Kaminska. His batting averages fall back down to earth at 375, which is now in the top 50 in the country. Good luck chasing some of the nation's leaders in batting average. You think of Ethan Groff of Tulane hitting .430. And Hoover skies one in the air. Boy, those black uniforms look real sharp for Wichita State. I like the matchup of black and white. It has a unique, you don't see it a lot in college baseball, but it kind of has that Halloween feel to it.
It does. I mean, you got the black and yellow for the Shockers, and you know, the white and the signature purple for the Pirates. Great uniform combinations for both these teams.
Two clubs that just have recent history, 14 all-time matchups, with Wichita State joining the conference just 5 years ago in the American Athletic. And two teams that we'll see how conference realignment unfolds moving forward, but in terms of their futures may not be as long-lived as people would think. Some of the moving pieces in college athletics as there's strike one. You'd imagine these two programs and Tulane are now in prime position to be longtime contenders in the American for the next 5 years.
Yeah, they are. I mean, you talked about it. The realignment factor is something that is as prevalent as it becomes.
There's a base hit from Moylan, so his first hit of the night. You think about the likes of Houston, Central Florida, Cincinnati heading to the Big 12. It does open some doors for other programs to, and maybe more shine on the football side of things, but it can translate to baseball, where ECU's won 3 of the last 4 titles in the conference.
It does. It's something that, you know, all the programs within a university are looking forward to. As you talked about, most of the conference realignment has pretty much everything to do with football. But the other teams that are in the conference, they can benefit from moving into those different conferences, because, you know, the further you move up, the better you enhance your chances of not having to be an automatic qualifier and winning your conference tournament to make it to the NCAA tournament.
Which is fascinating because, and we'll dive into this later, but D1 baseball had their recent projections of regionals. Tulane, a projected regional team. East Carolina was projected as one of the last 4 out. So the Pirates have to play themselves in, not only to the conference race, but into a tournament bid.
And that's why you see these teams like Wichita State and East Carolina taking on these Power 5 schools before they get into conference play.
This ball was hit absolutely high into the air. Never an easy second out. Wichita State, who hasn't made a regional in 5 years. An East Carolina team that's had a 5-year stretch of dominance, their best stretch ever in terms of win-loss record under Cliff Godwin. Which is why at 16-14, people in the national media are keeping the Pirates in the conversation for regional berths.
And I think that's a right assessment. This East Carolina team, you know, struggled a little bit out of the gate. We talked about the injury situation. You've got a shortstop on the mound as your Friday night guy, and a team that has employed a 4-catcher repertoire. I mean, this team in East Carolina, if they can find a way to kind of shore things up, shore up what their nine's going to be, I have no doubt that they'll hear their name called for the field of 64 at the end of the season.
That's the great part about this time in college baseball. We're exactly halfway through the season. And who's going to get into what regional and all that, we've got 2 months to figure it out. I think that phrase was used 5 or 6 times in our chats with both coaches this week. Cliff Godwin and Eric Wedge mentioned just figuring out their lineups.
Well, it's so true. I mean, it is so true. A coach is consistently trying to figure out what the lineup's going to do. You got your mainstays. You got your guys that you know where they're going to be, but when you have so many question marks throughout the field, it makes it that much harder to try to coach.
Especially in a league this year in the American, 9th ranked overall RPI. Last year the conference had a top 5 RPI. Now last season a little different, right, because of the number of conference games, inter-conference. A lot more of a non-conference schedule this year. The SEC and the ACC have 8 to 10 regional type teams this year, maybe 2 to 3 in the American. So it's important to be at the top of the league as Makarevich fouls it off. Of course, Tulane off to a 20-9 start. They do have a tie, which is odd in college baseball, but series wins over Mississippi State. East Carolina with a top 25 win over Maryland. That's been a big boost to their resume. RPI at 75. And UCF with some SEC wins in non-conference play. They're 18-11. That's a walk to put 2 on with 2 out. Let's compare how these starting pitchers have gone, because if any team's going to make a run in the American, they'll need great starting pitching. Jace Kaminska, he's been bat around in the 2nd inning as Ryder Giles continues to be untouchable.
Yeah, we thought about it coming into the game just because the unknown of what Ryder Giles was going to bring, on the mound. We knew going off of last weekend with Jace Kaminska that he was going to be, a bona fide ace. But to see those numbers flip-flop like that, I tell you, it's a little bit surprising to anyone but Ryder Giles. He knows he has the ability to come up there and give up one base hit, strikeouts 5 already. So I mean, he's just been locked in.
That's a career high in strikeouts for Giles, who has the ability to enter this game as a DH or a pitch hitter late. Former shortstop for the Pirates, as that's fouled off.
I need to correct myself. 6 strikeouts already through 3 innings of work for Ryder Giles.
Hard to keep track of.
There's so many so early. 6 strikeouts, that's enough for an entire game, and that's a heck of a game. So to have 6 through 3 innings of work, that's very impressive.
Facing the reigning pitcher of the week in the conference, Jace Kaminska, who grooves over strike 2 to Starling. Jacob Starling, who scored the hold your breath suicide squeeze run that made it 3-0. Survived the high intense flames of a suicide squeeze. Some would say putting the burners on and the pressures, that's fouled off. Sort of fitting on a weekend with some pig picking and pig outs going on across the street, grilling them up and cooking meat all weekend with the spring football game in town. A homecoming affair, if you will, for this East Carolina fan base.
The spring football game is a practice for the team, but it's also practice for the fans to figure out how you're going to do your tailgate situation for the fall season. East Carolina plays a great schedule.
That ball is off the glove of first, and it sneaks through. So the base hit extends the inning, scores a run. Wow, East Carolina taking advantage for a 4-0 lead.
That's a second RBI of the night for Jacob Starling, a CNI single that just gets by the glove of the outstretched Rogers over there at first.
And this ball was like a rotisserie chicken. It just snuck through everything, was cooking with some speed on it, had some spice as it kicked away. Resulted in a 4th run. Not going to bite on my food pun there, Brantley?
Well, I mean, no.
It's going to leave the plate full.
I'm going to leave it full, which I don't do often.
2 runners on the bases for Jenkins Cowart. And this might end the inning. Well, it stays out of play.
I'll be honest, I didn't catch the whole joke per se, because I was trying to write down RBI single with a throwing error and advance on the error on my scorebook. So I do apologize about that.
Accuracy is key in this business. And Jenkins Cowart, who ripped a double his first time up, part of that 3-run second, adding another run here in the 3rd against the reigning pitcher of the week in the American and Jace Kaminska. And all of a sudden here, Brantley, it's 68 going on 69, a nice number of pitches. He has some work to do in this 3rd inning.
He does, and Kaminska was 1 out away from getting out of that inning unscathed, but East Carolina taking advantage. 2-out hits win ball games, and that's exactly what Jacob Starling was able to do right there. But with 2 outs, I do not anticipate another suicide squeeze for East Carolina.
Now, Cliff Godwin's very creative with top 10 in the country in sacrifice bunts, sac flies. This team will score in a variety of ways. Tonight, it's been with 6 base hits, so very productive at the plate. How does Kaminska climb out of this jam? Most hits he's given up since the first week of March, and that might continue as Jenkins Cowart skies one to center, and that is snagged by Chuck Ingram. Not before a 2-hit inning cashes in another run for the Pirates. It's 4-0 through 3. Maybe no two teams more competitive in the last 3 years than Wichita State and East Carolina. 14th all-time meeting. And last year's series, Brantley, the runs were nearly identical, 26-24. Another competitive weekend coming up.
Not surprising with these two teams, the Shockers and the Pirates. They're about as evenly matched as you look at the numbers for the teams, and then you look here at this series history. 14 times tonight they have played, Wichita State leading just by 1 game. So East Carolina, looking to try to at least even the series, potentially take the lead.
And a third of the way through game 1. It's been the Ryder-Giles experience. 6 strikeouts tonight. Now faces the heart of this lineup in Sawyer Thornhill, who's reached base 28 straight times, all 28 games. There's only a handful of players in the country that reach base. Jace Jung of Texas Tech has reached base in every game this year. Some of the notables who have been on-base machines. Thornhill, who was a late surging standout from Northeast Texas Community College. He reached base 50% of the time at the JUCO level last year. A late addition in the transfer portal over the summer has been a huge addition to Wichita State.
And all Ryder-Giles needed there was a new baseball. He didn't like the first one he had through 2 balls, gets a new ball, and all of a sudden pumps in a strike.
Guess that's all it takes for the former shortstop for ECU. Find the ball he likes and go to work. And boy, has he done that. Ben Newton with a generous frame job there trying to work the zone. And this Wichita lineup that entered 8th in the conference in batting average has been fooled once again.
They have, and I think it has a lot to do with the arm angle of Ryder-Giles. I mean, it's a 3-1 pitch that caught a lot of the plate, and yet Thornhill wasn't able to square it up. That natural movement of that sidearm release point makes it so difficult to really square anything up.
Ryder-Giles has yet to allow a run in 22 innings of work. Now he gives up a line drive that has some late movement to it. Lane Hoover cuts it off for the first out. And with an East Carolina defense that's top 10 nationally, Giles has pitched to contact. He's playing to that great defense.
He is, and you saw right there a 3-2 pitch. He catches a lot of the plate there, but again, with all the movement from that sidearm angle, unable is Thornhill to get his second hit of the day, and it's a hard line drive, but straight to the left fielder Hoover.
This is the 36th pitching outing for Ryder-Giles, maybe his best ever in terms of absolute dominance. A former reliever and shortstop who's moved into the rotation this year. That's no easy transition. He's making it look like it. As he faces Xavier Casarilla in the middle of this order. That strikeout for Casarilla is 1 of 6 for Giles tonight. And an offense for the Shockers that had actually played some of its best baseball in the Houston series, jumped ahead on Oklahoma State. Coach Eric Wedge mentioning that Casarilla, his ability to handle himself with tremendous IQ for a freshman, has kept him in the lineup from day one. As Giles gives up an absolute rocket to left field. That ball's out of here in a hurry. And Casarella with his 4th home run. So the true freshman puts that IQ to work on a solo shot.
Yeah, the first run given up by Ryder-Giles this season. A no-doubter to Casarella, and that's a great way for Wichita State to rebound after giving up those 4 early runs.
That ball missed right over the middle, and Casarella did not miss. So that's the first run, Brantley, given up by Giles in 24 innings.
So now, first run given up, how does Giles respond? It's a solo home run. Home runs are a part of the ball game, Evan. But the key for a pitcher when giving up a home run, make sure no one is on base. And Ryder-Giles, other than that one pitch to Casarella right there, has really kept Wichita State from barreling up a lot of balls.
Garrett Kosis will have to continue this big inning. His father played baseball at Iowa State, and following in Dad's footsteps, he had a season-high 2 hits against Kansas, speaking of Big 12 foes. Wichita State that'll play 9 Big 12 games this year, multiple midweek matchups. Battle-tested top 50 strength of schedule. And this is a series that Eric Wedge mentioned to us. He had penciled and circled on the calendar all year, facing the reigning champions of the AAC, and looking to prove it here tonight.
Well, anytime you're playing the reigning champs, like you said, Evan, you know, there's a target on the champions. In this case, East Carolina's back every conference series, because you're trying to dethrone the previous champs and take your spot atop of the rankings.
A much different looking pitching staff from East Carolina's championship club in 21, but equally effective with Ryder Giles tonight. Now he brings the 2-2 and adds to his strikeout totals. Lucky number 7 for Ryder Giles. There's no Carson Wisenhunt. There's no Kuchmaner in the Friday role. Neither the drafted arm Gavin Williams, but in comes a former shortstop. Now he has pitched as well, but a former shortstop in Ryder Giles, who's emerged as the Friday night man.
Yeah, with a career high 7 strikeouts now. His previous was 4 strikeouts, so blew by that number in the 2nd inning.
And Gavin Williams, who was the Friday night man last year, was a top 2 round pick, top 100 overall. So highly touted. Giles not the same in terms of accolades, but maybe in terms of success. 1 hit allowed, a solo shot this inning. And with a bullpen that's been taxed for East Carolina, 3 of its arms are in the top 10 in the country in total appearances for Cliff Godwin. Carter Spivey, C.J. Mayhew, and Garrett Saylor, they have eaten up a ton of opportunities. Quality starting pitching will really help the cause. And so will good defense. But it's Wichita State providing some spark offensively. The 4th home run for Xavier Casarella makes it a straight 2-run game. Here's how the American Athletic Conference looks 1 week into the season. Tulane, who's getting votes as a regional-type club, 3-0 start, and now a fight in the middle. East Carolina and Wichita State decline to the top half of the league.
Yeah, it's an opportunity for either one of these teams to kind of cement themselves towards the top of the conference standings after 2 weeks. You see there, Tulane and UCF both are undefeated, but East Carolina, Wichita State, one of these teams, if able to win the series, could find themselves towards the top.
The wind is not playing kind to hitters in this park. Worrell lines out to center. Tulane, ECU, and Wichita State ranked all in the top 4 in the preseason standings. these are two clubs that have kind of been middling around 500 all year. Sometimes it takes a weekend like this to kickstart the back half of the season.
It does, and it's a suicide squeeze or a pitching performance by somebody other than, your normal guys for East Carolina and for Wichita State. It's, a big home run from Xavier Casarilla or something along those lines kind of helped jumpstart this second weekend.
And give credit to Jace Kaminska here, nearing 75 pitches. Nothing's been overpowering tonight, but if he can go 5-6 innings and allow just 4 runs, that's sort of a win here for Wichita State.
Yeah, he's grinded through his 3+ innings of work now. I mean, the second inning did not go his way. He was a few inches away in the third inning from getting out of the third completely unscathed, but I really like his response, the way that he's carrying himself on the mound for Wichita State.
He surrendered a season-high 6 hits so far. That was nearly his 7th, as that's just foul.
6 hits being his season high given up, that tells you a lot about Kaminska and the workhorse that he is. A lot of starters, just 6 hits, that's a normal ball game, but for Kaminska, 6, we're talking about that being his season high. So it shows that ECU has really done a nice job of staying focused and eliminating the good pitches from Kaminska.
Good scoop by Rogers, who feeds Kaminska. And like Aaron Rodgers finding Devontae Adams, it's Jordan Rogers finding his favorite target, Jace Kaminska.
Yeah, but the difference is Kaminska and Rodgers are going to get another year together.
Another contract extension, yeah.
Yeah, whereas Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams are no longer.
I thought you were going to go with the Jordan and Aaron Rodgers don't talk anymore. The family has some
True.
disagreements from time to time.
Yeah, disagreements, that's the word I would go with.
Jordan Rogers was a great host on The Bachelor all those years ago. Now he works for the SEC network and ESPN, among many places. There's a strike. Aaron Rodgers now the highest paid quarterback in the NFL, at least until the next contract
I was going to say,
up.
until the very next one.
Cliff Godwin, the homegrown man, former East Carolina standout behind the plate. Looking to retool his program. He's mentioned how proud he is of his team overcoming adversity and injuries. We know the 2 starting pitchers out for the Pirates. And for this club to be able to bounce back, that's a testament to what Cliff Godwin's team can do. Because anytime your team starts, we showed you early, 2-6, some difficult losses early in the year, to be back around 500 and make a run late. That is a true test of fortitude.
It is, and you want to be playing your best baseball as the season progresses and gets towards the latter part.
There's a line out for Zach Agnos to end the inning. We got some great baseball this weekend. We got barbecue cooking around the park. And in Greenville, North Carolina, it is a great weekend for baseball and pork. Maybe not the way we drew up the starting pitching matchup. Ryder Giles has dominated 7 strikeouts, and Jace Kaminska has grinded his way through 4 innings.
Well, we figured there was going to be a pitcher in tonight's ballgame that was going to have a high strikeout number. But like you mentioned, Evan, we didn't think it was going to be Ryder Giles. We thought Jace Kaminska could possibly follow up his 12 strikeout performance against Houston with another solid outing, but it's been the Ryder Giles show, as he's got 7 strikeouts on the night.
Now, given his sidearm angle and high strikeout totals, would the Ryder Giles show be sponsored by the Discovery Channel?
I feel like there's no better sponsor than the Discovery Channel for this situation.
We want to thank ESPN Plus and all the fans viewing tonight, along with Brantley Hatridge. I'm Evan Budrovich here in Greenville, North Carolina. The Shockers and the Pirates battling in the first of 3. Seth Stroh, who was a strikeout victim, one of these 7 Ks for Ryder Giles. Nubs 1 to first, and more solid defense by Moylan.
Yeah, and with that out recorded now, that Ryder Giles has now tied his career high in innings pitched, which he did just last weekend against Cincinnati. He went 4 1/3, so Ryder Giles really giving some quality innings here for East Carolina.
Cliff Godwin mentioning today no pitch count limit for Giles, so he can work as long and as deep into the game as he wants, because Godwin mentioned this week, with Giles becoming a starting pitcher more prevalently, he has to be careful with the innings load on the infield for the former shortstop.
Yeah, and you can see that Giles has kind of been building to this in his last couple outings. He's gone 2+ innings, then he went over 3 innings. In his last 2 outings, he's gotten into the 5th.
Boy, more weak contact. Nice scoop by Agnos, and another two-way prospect helps out his pitcher.
When you're not getting solid contact like Ryder Giles is getting, occasionally a bad hop might happen, but Jake Agnos does a fantastic job.
That's a double scoop and a waffle cone for Agnos at short.
Yeah, sorry, that was Zach Agnos, his older brother Jake, former standout at East Carolina.
You see on your screen, Trey is Savage warming up in the pen. Always helps to have some great defense. East Carolina nearing a .980 fielding percentage. As a pitcher, Brantley, that has to be your best friend.
It is. I mean, they talk about a double play being a pitcher's best friend, but whenever you can have a solid defense behind you making the easy plays and making the tough plays, as we saw earlier in the ball game.
How about the pitcher playing some defense? So the former shortstop in Ryder Giles, a new season high in strikeouts and innings pitched. What a start for Giles here on a Friday night. We have a pigskin pig out rolling here in Greenville. Ryder Giles is cruising in the strikeout department. A new career high was 7.
The right-hander has been absolutely fantastic today. The slider's been on point. The changeup has just been devastating, and the fastball from that side arm slot angle make it so hard for the Shockers to try to make solid contact. A career high in innings pitched and strikeouts. Ryder Giles making it difficult for Coach Cliff Godwin not to put him in the starting rotation on Friday next week.
His pitching action has so much movement on it with all different arm angles. Made it hard for Wichita State to get any momentum. Just 2 hits in this game. Not that Wichita's a prolific offense. They've scored more than 4 runs just once in the last 10 games. So with already ECU up 4-1, it would seem a run or two here could be vital for the Pirates, as there's a base hit by Hoover, putting it in the perfect spot, and he wants extra bases. Maybe a chance for 3 here as Hoover hits the brakes at second.
Smart decision there by Lane Hoover to put on the brakes there at second base. You don't want to run into and out at third, but that's now the second time that East Carolina has hit one hard straight into the dirt right at home plate, and it's bounced over a shocker infielder and the third baseman and now the first baseman Rogers. So East Carolina, that's part of knowing your field.
You mentioned the double for Hoover. How about Jacob Jenkins-Comer with the same thing down the third baseline? That scored a run. East Carolina entered this game with only 40 doubles. That ranked in the bottom 100 in the country. The doubles have come to life. 3 two-baggers tonight as Moylan misses there. Another example of how this offense has found new ways to manufacture runs this year. ECU last season top 20 in the country in home runs and runs scored. A little different equation here in 22. Moylan, who re-entered the lineup full-time against UNCW and then Cincinnati here at the start of April. It has literally been like filling out a bingo card for Cliff Godwin. So many different unique combinations in the order, and yet this offense has found its rhythm tonight.
And I think that being in front of your home fans, getting an opportunity to play a conference opponent here at home, you can see the East Carolina fans have been really instrumental in helping get behind their team.
And a chance to score a 5th run, which has been the kryptonite of Wichita State. When an opponent scores 5 or more runs against the Shockers, they have 1 win all season. There's a formula for success, and it's not helping with good hitting from the Pirates tonight.
No, and East Carolina, last time they had a runner on third with less than 2 outs. You saw the suicide squeeze with Starling, so maybe that's something that could be in the cards here for Coach Cliff Godwin again.
I wonder what Cam Clonch has in store. DH is 1 for 2. He doubled back in the second.
And you see the Shockers bringing the infield in. They know how important the difference between 4 runs and 5 runs is for their ball club.
Clonch, who's sitting on 7 runs batted in this year. And Cliff Godwin, his teams are ranked in the top 10 in sacrifice bunts. We've already seen a squeeze tonight. He has just 1 hit in his last 5 games, but what a chance here for Clonch, who chases on the slider. Cliff Godwin told us coming in, he's figuring out his lineup 1. 2, he wants short starts from opposing pitchers. That's his team's key to success. And 2, he wants to make sure his bats are tested, putting the best athletes on the field. We've sort of seen all 3 of those factors here tonight.
We have. I mean, we saw the small ball. We saw East Carolina running balls into the gaps for doubles, solid defensive plays. Now, the starter for Wichita State, Jace Kaminska, still in, but that's what aces do. They eat up innings whenever the night's not going their way. So he's really, I mean, he's essentially done 2 of the 3 so far.
An insurance run at third here with 1 out. And Clonch can't cash him in. There's a strikeout. That's a great play by the catcher, Ross Cadena, there for the tag out.
Yeah, it's important that he was able to apply the tag while still at home plate instead of having to throw it down to first base. A lot of things can happen whenever a catcher has to fire it down to first to finish the strikeout.
You say that as a former pitcher, and I do wonder some of the heart attacks you must have had over the years on plays like that.
I've given my catcher so many heart attacks throughout the year. It's only fair that a catcher could give me the opportunity to feel that same heartbeat whenever you have a strike him out, having a drop third strike scenario.
Well, thank goodness you're still with us here tonight. Makarevich, who's been an on-base machine, has reached base twice. And these are the spots where East Carolina has struggled this year, hitting with men in scoring position. An offense that's cut its scoring in half from 9 runs a game last year to just over 4 this season. A home fan base that's sort of waiting to explode tonight. First of a 3-game series, 2 teams right in the middle of the American Athletic standings. It's a good stop again by Cadena.
I mean, that's at least 3 times now since Lane Hoover's made it to third base that he saved a wild pitch from East Carolina getting their 5th run.
Jace Kaminska, the reigning pitcher of the week, nearing 100 pitches to get through 5 innings. He's had to earn it tonight. And boy, does he ever. This ball's roped into the corner and fair off the wall. Alec Makarevich with a clutch 2-out double extends the Pirates' lead.
Makarevich now on base for the 3rd time in as many at-bats. A single back in the 2nd, a walk in the 3rd, and now that RBI double against Kaminska. And like we talked about, Evan, 4 was the magic number for Wichita State. ECU now has 5 runs. It's a tall task for Wichita State to try to get over, but these Shockers, they're a resilient bunch. They could fight their way and claw their way back into this for sure.
I just heard a figurative cannon in this ballpark explode. That may be what this offense has done tonight. 5 runs on 8 hits. And there's something about home conference series for an offense. Brantley, how has this East Carolina team found its success offensively?
Well, it's being at home, sleeping in your own bed, going through your normal routine, not being on the road. First conference weekend for East Carolina, and through 4 2/3 of complete innings played, East Carolina is really thriving off being in their home crowd.
We mentioned the 5 runs. When Wichita State allows 5 or more runs, the Shockers are 3-12 this year. Conversely, when the pitching's been good, this team is very tough to beat.
Yeah, and the pitching just hasn't been right on point for Wichita State and head coach Eric Wedge. Kaminska's labored, and that's probably the most accurate way to describe it, because he's had to throw a lot of pressure pitches.
Kaminska giving up a season-high 8 hits tonight for the reigning pitcher of the week in the conference. Eric Wedge, a former big league manager, mentioning he's managed expectations for this team and managing the personality swings and the mood swings that come from tough wins, tough losses. Think back to Tuesday night, had a lead late against top 10 Oklahoma State. That club could not hold on, so the Cowboys came out with the win. And here's Wichita State trying to avoid a 3rd straight loss.
And after that 4-pitch walk, Eric Wedge out to talk to Kaminska, and it looks like they're going to make that pitching change, Evan.
So L.J. McDonough comes in out of the Shockers bullpen. We'll take the timeout, let Wichita State go into the pen, and when we come back, more from Greenville here in the 5th. So this is the 10th outing for L.J. McDonough, and one area Eric Wedge mentioned his bullpen must improve, bridging the gap to the closers. Clearly for Wichita State, the back end of the pen's been excellent with Connor Holden, the closer, but finding options like McDonough, who's going to emerge in the middle of that pen for Wichita State?
Yeah, McDonough is somebody that Wichita State could see bridging that gap. He's got a very live arm, solid velocity. You see that 24 strikeouts to only 7 walks in just over 16, or just right at 16 innings of work. So he's got the strikeout capability. It's just a matter of, trying to get that confidence on the mound and to throw up zeros, bridging that gap to your closer.
Last season, McDonough earned wins in 5 outings out of the pen. He was really good in big situations, those high leverage innings. Clearly this is a high leverage inning because if Wichita State allows 2 more runs to score, this game might be over, literally and figuratively speaking.
Yeah, it's a tough scenario for Wichita State. So that's why you see somebody like L.J. McDonald coming in, at a 4-run deficit. Game is not out of reach by any means whatsoever. Wichita State could easily find themselves back into it. But the key right now is to try to find a way to get another out without allowing a run to score here in the 5th.
Easier said than done against the Pirate offense. 5 runs on 8 hits tonight. And this ball has some distance written all over it, but foul. Jacob Jenkins Cowart with a double, his first time up. One of 4 extra base hits for the Pirates tonight. Not as many stickers on that bat as we'd see in the Tennessee Vanderbilt series.
Yeah, who'd have thought the year 2022 that stickers would have been a topic of conversation in college baseball?
I figured electronic signs would be a huge conversation, maybe not stickers, as that pitch is a strike. Now, we did ask both coaches about the sticker controversy, and they both had mentioned that it's important teams check the bats.
Yes.
Because you don't want all of a sudden a ball hit 490 feet and wonder, well, where did that come from? Where's the BSR bat, not the BB Corps bat?
Yep, exactly. So, I mean, it was an unfortunate situation, but it's one that could have been avoided.
Speaking of avoided, how about avoiding a big inning? Nice bullpen work for L.J. McDonough. The Pirates strike for 1 more run in the 5th as they lead by 4. Second weekend of American Athletic Conference play, and East Carolina looks to move to 3-1 through the first 2 weeks, because here we sit in conference, Brantley. A couple of teams looking to pull away. Houston with another win remains in the top half of the league with a 3-1 start, and Tulane tries to start undefeated. That's a big matchup with South Florida.
It is. Tulane at the top of the conference right now, along with UCF, both at undefeated. So, conference wins are huge to try to rack up as many of those as possible. That's why winning series is such a big opportunity when it comes time for conference play.
East Carolina dives into a critical stretch. Wichita State, Central Florida, and Tulane the next 3 weeks. As the first pitch is weakly hit to third. Boy, Ryder Giles is missing bats all night. You factor in the career high in strikeouts with 7, and he's induced 5 ground ball outs tonight.
He's only given up 2 hard hit balls today. It was the line drive to Thornhill back in the 4th and the home run to Casarella. Other than that, Ryder Giles has induced weak contact at best.
And that's why Giles has remained in this game for his career-long outing. Cliff Godwin mentioning in the middle of the week that there's no pitch count, no pitching restrictions. As long as Giles wants to go. And even take this to Williamsport, 85 pitch limit for most pitchers. Here he sits 6 innings in at a very good pitch count.
He is, and it's an interesting development here because a relief pitcher, you know, you're really in an unknown scenario right now, especially for Ryder Giles, who we talked about, got his career high in innings pitched by getting through 5 last inning. So you're in an area for head coach Cliff Godwin. You have no idea how Ryder Giles' arm is going to feel. So it's very important that you keep tabs on him. You know, pay attention to his demeanor out on the mound, and when he comes in, just talk to him, see how he's feeling.
That is snagged at third by Makarevich. No way! Oh, he just missed the throw. What a nice effort defensively on the infield single.
I thought we had our second SportsCenter top play for Makarevich over there at third. What? The Pirate third baseman is not letting anything get by him right now.
And if that throw's a little more accurate, he might have gunned out Brock Rodden, who's counting his blessings at home. That's an infield single, his first hit. Only the 3rd hit for the Shockers today. A club that came in the bottom of the American Athletic in runs scored and batting average. It's been a team led by pitching this year.
And Giles, he has not been in this stretch, air quotes stretch, since the first inning. After the Thornhill triple with 2 outs, he's been in the windup ever since the first inning. So it's interesting to see now how he has to pitch with a runner on base.
A Wichita State team that last year was a lot more offensive minded in terms of runs scored and really good home cooking. 21 home wins for the Shockers in 21. They struggled on the road last year, a losing record. So that's what makes this series important. 2nd straight road series for Wichita State. And after losing 2 of 3 at Houston, they're in danger of dropping to 1-3 in the league. Losing the likes of Paxton Wallace with his 11 home runs. Jack Segrist and Corrigan Bartlett, 3 all-conference standouts. They hit 300 or better. That's hard to replace on any team, especially for Wichita State.
It is, and like we said at the beginning of the broadcast, you're not going to be able to replace them. You just try to find a way to get similar like production.
This is a rare meeting between Newton and Ryder Giles.
And it's the unknown for Ryder Giles here in the 6th inning. He hasn't gone this long in his entire Pirate career. 5 1/3 innings pitched now. He's up to 75. This is about to be a 75th pitch, so it's interesting to see how much longer Cliff Godwin is going to let Giles go.
Okay, here's my thing. Why don't warm-up pitches factor into total pitch count? Because that is wear and tear on the arm. I know it's a lighter intensity, as this fly ball result in the 2nd out of the inning. But Brantley, here Ryder Giles sits his career-long outing, and partly that can be extended to 90, 100 pitches with pickoffs and warm-up pitches, and yet he's looked comfortable so far.
He has, and he's been in a groove since the first pitch of the ball game. He's had a nice rhythm. He's been able to locate his off-speed pitches, his fastball. His fastball just with so much natural movement because of the arm angle. It's a tough task for any team to have to face somebody from that type of angle, and someone who's clearly on tonight.
I mean, good luck hitting that slider, as Casarella was the one man to do it. He had a home run his last time up. 2nd home run in conference play for Xavier. These Wichita State bats, 7 strikeouts in the first time around the order. Only 1 strikeout since. So, Brantley, it's been Giles keeping batters off balance that second and third time up at the plate.
Wichita State has made adjustments in the sense that they're not swinging and missing. They're just not getting the solid contact. And I think that's because Ryder Giles is pitching each batter differently than the previous at-bat. You're not able to key in on a certain pitch sequence on how he operates.
Factor in all the different arm angles and some defense himself. Boy, the former shortstop for East Carolina is taking over the Friday night role oh so well. Ryder Giles living it up. And here in Greenville, the pigskin pig out. What a matchup. Good pork and good pitching tonight. We are in the heart of American Athletic Conference play, and a couple of teams are shining early. Tulane and UCF with series sweeps. And then in terms of national rankings, Cincinnati leads the conference in home runs. And don't sleep on Tulane. Top 5 in doubles and top 10 in the country in scoring. This is more of an offensive-minded league here in 22.
Well, it may be an offensive-minded league, but don't tell that to East Carolina's starting pitcher, Ryder Giles. He's making it look like it's a pitcher's league tonight, the way he's throwing. But you talk about it, the American Athletic Conference is one of the premier conferences when it comes to hitting. All these teams can go toe-to-toe with anybody with their bats.
It's also interesting because there's 4 pitching staffs in the top 100 in the country in ERA. So it's great hitting, and clearly with elite starting pitching, there are 4 clubs, including UCF, 9th in the country, that can pitch it really well too.
And that's why I feel like the American Athletic Conference, when it all is all settled and done, they'll have multiple bids in the NCAA tournament.
So you think that East Carolina could play itself into a regional team? They're the last team out, according to D1 baseball today. There's still half a season to go, but you think 2, maybe 3 could sneak back in?
Yeah, I honestly do. You're obviously going to get the conference champ. You have weird situations where somebody gets hot at the end of the season at the bottom of the conference and they get in. So then the team that was been at the top all year long more than likely gets in.
Well, think about South Florida. Won the tournament last year and was not a tournament team and then made a run in the regional.
Yep.
Because of how things unfolded in their bracket.
It's all about just getting the opportunity. You get an opportunity to make the NCAA tournament, anything can happen.
East Carolina, who's made back-to-back super regionals, now is a super drive from Worrell that's out of play. Boy, the ball's flying to right field tonight. Where's the offense come from for ECU? This is a team that was struggling to score in the start of conference play, and they've exploded tonight.
They have. They're seeing Wichita State. They saw the starter, Jace Kaminska, and now TJ McDonald in relief. I mean, they're just seeing these Wichita State pitchers really well right now.
Wichita State hasn't made a regional or postseason play since 2013. In comes Eric Wedge, the All-American and former College World Series champion for the Shockers. And he's looking to rebuild this program in year 3. That's a great pitch. Just caught the inside corner and rung up by Ryan Broussard.
That was a solid 2-2 pitch there by McDonald. Fastball in the inner half of the plate.
Whoa. Maybe, okay, a little in.
A little in, but the home plate umpire, Ryan Broussard, has shown that he's willing to give off the plates, and LJ McDonald has, paid attention through the first 5 innings of this game and noticed that he's giving just a little bit off the inner half of the plate.
That is knocked down but bobbled by Casarella. That's an error for the Shockers. Only the first error for Wichita State. We noted ECU's high defensive prowess. Wichita State in the top 3rd in fielding, but they're at 967.
And that was a hot shot there by Ben Newton, right on the barrel. And they don't call it a hot corner for a reason, Evan.
That's like a softball play at third. It came so fast at him.
Yeah, it just rolled up the glove of Casarilla over there at third.
So it is ruled an error. And in comes Zach Agnos. Agnos is much like Ryder Giles, a two-way hitter and pitcher. He's thrown in a little more limited action, just 5 innings, typically one inning relief efforts. And that was sort of the plan for Ryder Giles entering the year. And yet, he's now thrown 6 innings of brilliant baseball.
And the competitor that he is, as like any athlete on the baseball field right now, he's trying his best to make sure that he gets to go back out there and tries to complete his 7th inning.
How about Cliff Godwin executing a hit and run with a 4-run lead in the 6th?
He knows that no lead is essentially safe. And so trying to get, that 5th run, that all-important 5th run, because that takes the grand slam out of play, so to speak.
Now the 1-1. There's a pickoff attempt that gets away from Rogers. Uh-oh, he's got to hustle here and gets into second base. So Ben Newton reaches on an error, advances on an error. I wonder if he'll score here on an error.
And it just rises off the arm of L.J. McDonald. He never really got on top of that ball, and it just gets over the glove of Rogers over there at first. So
now, did you see that mom with the daughter in the pink jacket? Her face went, oh my gosh, because that throw was heading right towards her. That's some alert parenting in the first row. This is the challenge for Wichita State. The middle of the bullpen has really struggled for the Shockers this year. Blew a 3-run lead against top 10 Oklahoma State. You talk about a signature win opportunity. That was it. Already 3 top 50 wins for the Shockers, and they want a few more as that's way up and in. ECU, meanwhile, 3 quad 1 wins. And they'll face Tulane, a quad 1 opponent, coming up in 2 weeks down in New Orleans.
Zach Agnos having to use all his athleticism just to get out of the way of that one.
Score that a 9.5. See the new MLB The Show video game come out this week. Shohei Ohtani rated 99 overall as Agnos, a fellow two-way product, fouls one away. I think you could nominate the entire Tennessee Volunteer Club as the top team in college baseball.
They are, but the
1 loss all year.
And they're down right now to the Mizzou Tigers, though. So I mean, the SEC, that's the SEC for you.
The payoff to Agnos is taken for a walk. And this is something Cliff Godwin has prided himself in, utilizing these two-way prospects. We've noted Ryder Giles with his great pitching performance tonight. Well, Agnos, Brooks, and Clonch, all players that have an ability to work in all different facets.
It's an extreme luxury to have a player that can play the field and pitch. And you're seeing it unfold right before your eyes tonight here in Greenville. watching Ryder Giles, I mean, 6 innings of work, giving up 3 hits, the solo home run being the only run that Wichita State has scored, but a career high 7 strikeouts.
Now time's called as Kadena heads out to the mound. And this is where Wichita State has to be very careful, right? Because it is just one game in this series, but the last thing you want to do for the Shockers is burn bullpen arms in game 1.
Yeah, I mean, it's such an interesting dynamic, these 3-game series, because you're not trying to just win the game today, but you're also trying to save your arms and your pitchers for the whole weekend.
LJ McDonough has struggled here out of the bullpen. Allowed 3 runs when he faced ECU last year up in Wichita, Kansas. Now he works across strike 1. Here's Lane Hoover, who had a great weekend at Cincinnati. 9 hits to start conference play. He's added his 10th with a double back in the 5th. And this is a player who's overcome a ton of injuries in his career. Cliff Godwin, quick to mention, in the 2019 year, had a collarbone injury, worked his way back, missed much of 20 with injury, and in the last 2 years has become a consistent starter as he advances runners over on the fielder's choice. He was the first player to volunteer himself, even playing through an injury in the postseason last year, so his mental toughness is huge for this club.
It is, and somebody like Lane Hoover in that lineup, he just emulates what it means to be an East Carolina Pirate, to be so tough, to be able to battle back from those injuries, and you see he's being rewarded with it coming into the day, batting .378 on the season, been a starter in pretty much every single game this year.
Cliff Godwin mentioning 10 days before the season, Lane Hoover said, "Hey coach, whatever you need from me, whatever role, I'll accept it." And he's become an on-base machine for the Pirates, because he was not penciled in as a starter coming into the year after a prolific 21 season. And for someone like Hoover to adapt and change his role offensively, that is vital for a team that has some big aspirations.
When you have guys that put the team first, that's when special things can happen in a season. You know, when you've got 9 guys that are looking out for, in this case, East Carolina baseball, and not just looking out for themselves and their stats, you know, special things can happen. And Lane Hoover is kind of the leader in that aspect. And he's like, just tell me what you need me to do, coach.
Here's a stolen base attempt. That's gunned down at second. What a throw by Kadena to rob Lane Hoover. And I think Cliff Godwin wants to challenge this call. So let's take a look. Maybe that oven mitt gets in time?
Well, the key is that the call on the field is out. So at this point, every fan's favorite terminology coming up, indisputable video evidence to overturn the call. That's why it's always so important. What is the call on the field?
So here's my rule. This is the Evan Budrovich college baseball rule.
All right.
The call must be made in 60 seconds or less. If it's not clear in 60 seconds, the call on the field stands.
I'm a fan of that.
So we'll start the clock right now. Because the more you watch these plays, the less certain I am one way or the other. This will be our best angle here.
I mean, live, it looks like he beats the throw. He's sliding towards the outer part of the base. I mean, that's a bang play. I think
Ty goes to the runner.
Mm-hmm. And that's why it's so important. The call on the field is out, so it's got to be indisputable.
Do you have a magnifying glass for me? Because that might be the only way to dispute it. It's tough to tell.
I mean, you got to give a lot of love to Ross Sedina right there. On the pitch, I thought Hoover had the bag stolen.
Well, that was Craig Alden on the call. So Cliff Godwin using one of his challenges early in this game. And Godwin's not afraid to implement those challenges at any point in the game.
Well, no, and you can understand why he's wanting to make sure that they get this call right.
Well, we're going to go to commercial. The call stands, and through 6 innings, East Carolina leads by 4. This is the mid-season projections from D1 baseball, but sort of like March Madness, here's the last 4 teams out. East Carolina just outside of the field of 64, and Brantley, that's what makes this stretch of baseball oh so fascinating.
It does, and with the American Athletic Conference and the ECU factor, so to speak, a team that is just a perennial regional team, a regional host team quite often as well, been to the Supers the last couple years. You know, this team right on the cusp of making that field of 64, and Cliff Godwin is, you know, looking to see, you know, what combination of pitching and hitting can get us back to the NCAA tournament.
How important is that win over Michigan in the LeClaire Classic here in Greenville?
Listen, anytime you can get victories over Power 5 schools, especially a team like Michigan, you know, a few years ago was, you know, in the finals in the College World Series. So anytime you can pick up those type of wins, you know, that's big when it comes resume season.
Resume victories always important, especially when you consider not only the expectations for East Carolina, but how they started the year at 2-6. Just even being back in the conversation, I think is important for a ball club as Giles flips in a strike. Cliff Godwin noting the toughness and the resiliency of his team has been almost one of his most prideful parts of this year's group. Maybe not the talent of years past, but they're starting to click.
They are, and you've seen it tonight. The defense has just been fantastic.
Ryder Giles equally impressive, sitting on 7 strikeouts. This is a converted infielder who has only thrown 25 innings this year. He's now working his deepest outing of his career. This fly ball will drift out of the park. I mean, what does it say about an ECU pitching staff that entered with an All-American and Kuchmaner in the staff, moved out of the Friday role, and in comes Ryder Giles filling those shoes?
I tell you, East Carolina has to be feeling really good about their pitching situation. You know, that has been a bit of a question mark, but if Ryder Giles is able to duplicate, you know, a night similar to this,
with his 8th strikeout right there.
I mean, obviously you would love this every single night, but that's not a realistic possibility. I mean, we talked about it with Jace Kaminska. 12 strikeouts, 4 hits last week, and he's out of the ball game in the 5th. So you got to temper your expectations, but you see there, right there, at 80-plus pitches, a relief pitcher, for the most part, you'd want to see how crisp he is right there. And that changeup for the strikeout on Koshitz was fantastic. Still had the great drop in it.
He also struck out Kadena back in the 2nd, who sits on 0 for 2 in this matchup. Ross Kadena had a 7-game hit streak to start the month of March. He was red hot. The averages come back down here in April. Boy, that pitch is not going to light the lamp with 82 miles an hour, but it is effective.
And you have to wonder, pitching into the 7th, how much fatigue is going to be a factor. The fastball earlier in the ballgame was up in the mid to upper 80s, so it's starting to taper off just a little bit here, and you have to figure that was likely going to happen at some point.
East Carolina, who lost the opener at Cincinnati, had to win 2 slugfests on Saturday and Sunday. This is a positive sign of change, stepping up with the pitching staff. And how about more chances for this defense? Makarevich has been solid for 2 quick outs.
And when things are going your way, Evan, the ball just seems to bounce your way as well. And you saw the candy hop over to Makarevich over there at third. He's made the difficult plays, and he's made the easy ones. And solid defense, good pitching, and that's why East Carolina is sporting a 4-run lead right now.
Ryder Giles entered the rotation against VCU at the end of March. He has been brilliant since. Here in his 2nd conference start, goes a career-high 7 innings, guiding the Pirates here on a Friday night. We have a cookout here in Greenville. Great barbecue, great starting pitching, and a great matchup on ESPN+. Well, we promised you great starting pitching coming in, and Ryder Giles has lived up to the billing as we roll into the bottom of the 7th. Wichita State goes to its 2nd reliever of the night. Kaminska could not get out of the 5th. L.J. McDonough connects the dots, and now Derek Shaver, the Grand Junction, Colorado product, makes his debut appearance in the American Athletic Conference. First outing since March 30th. Sorry, April 30th. Nope, it is March 30th. How here in the month of April does he find himself confidence here in his 3rd outing?
Well, I think it says a lot for his coach to send him out there with only 1 inning of total work done this season, his 3rd appearance, to a 4-run ball game to keep the game within reach too. So, 3rd appearance for Derek Shaver, an opportunity now to kind of tell his coach Eric Wedge, you can add me to your bullpen rotation whenever things get tough.
Shaver is a two-way player. Last year he had 11 starts on the infield between first base and third base. This year a pitcher only with a 6'3" frame. And he faces the heart of this lineup with Josh Moylan to lead things off.
A lot of two-way talk here tonight between these two teams.
That's going to be important for both clubs. They don't have the depth on the pitching side that East Carolina had in 21 when they won the American. So how will these teams manufacture in a variety of ways, right? Because this league is wide open. We've seen Tulane off to a 4-0 start, but there is no heavy-hitting favorite like ECU's been in the past.
And I think the parity is good for conference play, knowing that regardless, you got a shot. And I think that gives a lot of these teams confidence.
And a leadoff base hit from Moylan, so he has a multi-hit game. There's some big shoes to fill over there at first base for East Carolina. Francisco and company were excellent. Thomas Francisco with double-digit home runs. Spencer Brickhouse is now in the Diamondbacks organization at first. Now that hat had a lot of Clayton Kershaw look to it with the sweat line across his forehead there. Some people sweat in different places. And here in a 60-degree night in Greenville. The heat's starting to pick up for the Pirates offense. 5 runs on 9 hits. This ball is hit high. It'll stay on the infield. Casarella with a difficult catch.
It's never easy, especially looking up into the night sky, trying to get underneath those fly balls, especially from those lefty bats on the left side. The ball consistently is tailing one way or the other, so extreme concentration necessary.
There's Makarevich, who's been smacking the ball around the park. A double and a single tonight. And that RBI double in the 5th got East Carolina the magic number of 5. Pirates have won 70% of their games when scoring at least 5 runs. It sounds fundamental and simple, and yet here they are with a winning formula. This ground ball could be 2 to end the inning. And Wichita State turns its 16th double play of the season as we head to the 8th inning. Shockers showing off some defense here through 7, hanging around on Friday night. Ryder Giles' night is done after 8 strikeouts and 7 quality innings.
The right-hander getting his first opportunity as the Friday night guy. Game 1 for East Carolina did not disappoint has a career-high 8 strikeouts and a career-high 7 innings pitched. The changeup was on point tonight. The slider, the fastball, everything for Ryder Giles was absolutely fantastic, and he leaves sporting that 4-run lead.
So Giles in position not only for the win, but to set the tone for this ECU pitching staff. That's the longest start by the Pirates pitcher at all this year. And this was a starter in Giles who had gone just 18 innings coming in.
I'm telling you, it's just all about opportunities, and Ryder Giles made the most of his opportunity tonight, getting the longest of the season.
So this opens the door for Ben Terwilliger. He's a transfer from the Barry University Parrots out of Division II. Also started his career at Maine. So 3rd school in 3 years for Terwilliger, who has limited innings, just 12 and a third. He did pick up a base hit last weekend. We talked about some of those two-way contributors, and he is not allowed to run in his last 5 innings of work. And
it's interesting that Terwilliger comes in now sporting this 4-run lead in relief of Ryder Giles, his 12th appearance of the season. 20 strikeouts to only 5 walks. Terwilliger clearly has the strikeout stuff.
And he pitched 5 innings against Cincinnati in relief. 5 strikeouts and 1 hit allowed. So he was asked to do a ton in the East Carolina bullpen. Has found some confidence here. Now that hat has seen its fair share of sweat. Ben Terwilliger, he brings it to the play. You'll see it here. A lot of oomph on this pitch. It guides in strike 1. Bottom third of a Wichita State lineup that looks to break the sweat factory that's Ben Terwilliger. I mean, 4 innings out of the pen last week, Brantley. This came out of nowhere for Terwilliger. He had been a limited 3rd, maybe 5th option out of the pen, and he's become a huge piece for Cliff Godwin.
And it's fitting, you know, talking about Ryder Giles before him and Terwilliger getting opportunities and showing your coach what you can do. And Terwilliger has obviously taken the reins on this in this bridge opportunity to get to the closer.
Jordan Rogers leads off this inning and is retired on 3 pitches. Wichita State has just 1 win when trailing after 7. And this offense is having trouble tonight.
They are, and it's a testament to the East Carolina pitching. I mean, Ingram's led off the ball game back in the first, 3 pitches and a strikeout against Ryder Giles, and then Terwilliger comes in and does the exact same thing against Jordan Rogers, 3 pitches and a strikeout. So trying to mimic his starter is Terwilliger.
Not a bad man to follow in Ryder Giles. That was a career high in strikeouts. And that nugget's still hard to believe. The longest starting pitching outing for any ECU Pirate arm this year. This was a staff with Cooch Maynor last year, Wisenhunt, obviously the 1st-round draft pick, and the stud in Gavin Williams. Pitching was the strength of ECU last year. A little different here in 22.
It is, and it's so unique to see how teams have to adapt year over year. You know, you have these bona fide aces, and you talk about Gavin Williams and Carson Wisenhunt. You have these guys for just a couple of years, and, you know, with the COVID year, you know, draft eligible sophomores, you know, have the opportunity to get picked up. And, you know, we saw Gavin Williams get picked early in this past draft.
Of course, this being the first week of Major League Baseball opening up, always neat to see where many of these players move to the minors and the higher ranks as this ball's popped up to right. Think about the start of Major League Baseball this week. East Carolina with the likes of, gosh, a litany of minor league and major league players. 31 regional appearances for this club. And it's just neat to see these 2 programs that have such prolific histories. Wichita State, who's made 20 regionals in the 80s and 90s, especially under Eric Wedge. And now East Carolina in the last 10 years has become the regional power of the American.
You know, the changing of the guard, so to speak. You talk about Wichita State and how they had such a strong grasp on it for so long. East Carolina, since the move over to the American, has just been dominant in baseball. You talk about consistently hosting regionals, just a few bouncing balls here or there last year against Vanderbilt, and they could have been in Omaha.
This ball is smoked out to right field, and Chuck Ingram snaps an Okpo taco. So the Wichita State center fielder with his 8th home run. That's a team best for the Shockers.
And that's the spark that Chuck Ingram provides, being at the top of the lineup. He takes a pitch on the outer half of the plate from Ben Terwilliger and just goes with it and sends it deep into the night sky in right center field. And absolutely
now, if he could have hit the Taco Bell sign, I would give him extra credit there. But that still was smoked out of the park.
I would have.
Oh, the mullet.
That's beautiful.
Oh, my gosh.
I would have appreciated it if it had hit the Taco Bell sign, personally.
The tickets would have been worth a lot more.
Yes, they would have.
So first home run surrendered by Ben Terwilliger this year. Finishing out our point, the Pirates with 20 players in the minor league or major organizations, including Sean Armstrong at the big league level. Pitched for the Orioles and the Rays last year. Jarrell Cotton of the Texas Rangers, among some of the many big league prospects. Wichita State not too far behind, 41 MLB players and 56 All-Americans in the Shockers' tenure. 27 postseason appearances. A lot of history with these clubs making it to the next level. And that's why Eric Wedge took this job in Wichita. 1, to revamp his alma mater, and 2, to earn a sense of respect and pride back to Wichita State that had once been a power in college baseball.
Well, it's so cool to see a coach who played for their for the university that they're coaching come back and get the opportunity to be the head man. And it's even cooler that both universities represented tonight, East Carolina and Cliff Godwin and Eric Wedge in Wichita State, both played at these universities. So I feel like there's always a sense of pride as a coach, but it's an enhanced sense of pride because this is where you left your mark as a player, and now you're trying to do the same thing as a coach.
Eric Wedge, who was a College World Series champion at Wichita State, guides this young lineup as Rodden smokes one to center, and Bryson Worrell tracks it down. 1 run for the Shockers in the inning. It's an Okpo taco here in the 8th, served up with some pork on a Friday night as Ingram leaves the building for his 8th time. New arm for the Shockers. Foster Gifford, one of 2 players from the state of Colorado on this Wichita State roster. 12 different states represented for Eric Wedge's club, and now Gifford works out of the pen here in the 8th.
It's a big inning here for Wichita State after the Ingram home run. It's only a 3-run ball game now, so Foster Gifford trying to keep the deficit at 3. He's thrown 10 2/3 innings. His 8th appearance of the season, 7 strikeouts to 4 walks, so almost a 2-to-1.
And let's not forget the hidden gem. academic all-conference as a business major at Wichita State. Both these programs, the top two teams in terms of ERA in the respective league, East Carolina had a 3.5 GPA last fall. Wichita State with a 3.25 team GPA. So these clubs care in the classroom.
Well, Cliff Godwin said it in the phone call. School is the most important. If you're not performing at the academic level, you're not going to be putting on the Pirate uniform.
That is translated to his club, a team that has had to fill a lot of shoes offensively. Starling shoots one into the Stars, and it comes back down to earth. Man, that ball was hit high.
There have been some major league pop-ups here tonight.
Only fitting in the start of Major League season. You see a couple of those tonight. And let's not forget Eric Wedge. He started his coaching career in Kinston, North Carolina, just an hour away from Greenville. He was the Carolina League Manager of the Year for the at the time, the Indians minor league organization, the A-ball team. Worked his way up AA, then AAA, and then the big league manager for 4 years with the Guardians. Oh boy. Jenkins Coward shoots a missile out of the ballpark, and that ball is smoked. Jenkins Coward with a solo shot.
East Carolina gets their first home run of the night on a Jenkins Coward mammoth to right field. A absolute no doubter. He knew that off the bat. 6th
home run of the year for the power slugging freshman. Bring out the birdhouse. They hit the light post? Whew, pretty close.
Just over the Taco Bell sign.
Oh, no! The Taco Bell. Oh, here's the best part. Feed that man some bird seed. He hit a towering shot out of here. So both teams trading solo home runs here in the 8th. There's something about right field tonight, Brantley. That wind is blowing out and the ball is flying out of this park.
Yeah, I would argue that some of the hardest hit balls have been to left field, and you've got the one Wichita State home run, but the hardest hit balls to left that have not got out of the ballpark. But right field, as you mentioned, is really starting to get a lot of love. Solo shots here in the 8th, both of them no doubters.
This is a 4-run game that feels a lot different on the scoreboard, right? It feels like ECU was dominated from the start, as he did go around on the swing. So Worrell's retired for the 2nd out. This was the bugaboo ECU had on Wednesday against Old Dominion. Could have put away the Monarchs early, and then ODU came back to earn a big win.
They did, and that 3-run deficit, it was 7-4, ended up losing by that final score of 8-7. So that's why that Jenkins Cowart home run is huge for East Carolina. That 4-run lead makes the grand slam only tie you instead of taking the lead now.
I'd love to see the launch angle on that home run because it was absolutely blasted into the air. As this ball is smoked into the gap, and Ben Newton with a base hit. So 11 knocks for the Pirates tonight. After a slow start on Friday against Cincinnati, the Bats have come alive the last 3 conference games for ECU.
And hitting is contagious, Evan. And when hits are starting to fall for your team, everybody wants to get in on the parade. And that's why you see ECU with double-digit hits tonight. Really has seen the ball well throughout the entire lineup.
The last 3 conference games, 8 runs, 12 runs, and 6 runs for the Pirates. So the offense is clicking here in April.
I mean, they're not seeing baseballs right now. They're seeing beach balls. I mean, putting up that high a run total over those last 3 conference games shows you that, you know, you're starting to round into form as the season gets into the middle part.
Zach Agnos, one of the few not to join the party so far with runs scored. He reached his last time up, but that's it. How about a bunt call with a 4-run lead, 2 outs in the 8th? I know it wasn't intentional to put that bunt down, but just the mindset that Cliff Godwin has for his offense.
Well, you're trying to get a hit any way you possibly can, and if the third baseman is going to play as far back as Casarilla is right now, why not try to bunt and get it over towards the third base side? You get your potentially 12th hit of the ball game, runner now in scoring position, and it just, keep turning the lineup over.
This is the 5th plate appearance for Zach Agnos. You don't see that too often in a 6-run output. Typically, those are 10, 11-run games. Teams hit 5 or 6 times. It shows how resilient this offense has been.
Well, I mean, anytime you have 11 hits in a ball game, there's going to be some turnover, but you're right. For Zach Agnos to get 5 plate appearances in a game that hasn't featured a team having 8, 9, 10 runs shows how well ECU has worked the plate tonight.
The offense tries to keep pace with Tulane and UCF that are off to undefeated starts in the conference. And looking around the league tonight, Houston picked up another win, so they're 3-1. And Tulane beating South Florida right now. So some of those teams starting to separate themselves 2 weekends into conference. You can't win a conference title in 2 weeks, but you can certainly lose it if you start 1-5 or even worse.
You can, especially when you have 2 teams right now in UCF and Tulane who are undefeated in conference play. Those 2 teams continue to win at the clip that they are. Those teams that are at the middle bottom third find themselves already out of contention.
That is called strike 3. So Derek Shaver gives up a run in the 8th, and that's it. How about the solo shots this inning? Top half for the Shockers and an absolute missile from Jenkins Cowler. Here's how it's gotten to this point so far in game 1 of the series. East Carolina's offense, 11 hits tonight.
Yeah, the Pirates have just been on board all night long. It started in the 2nd inning where East Carolina really put it on Wichita State. 3 runs in the 2nd, 4 consecutive hits for the Pirates.
This was a cue shot that added on in the 3rd inning. And boy, here's the solo home run in the 4th for Wichita State. That made it 4-1. Another solo home run, but here came the Pirates late with more run support.
Yeah, East Carolina, after giving up the solo home run to Ingram in the top half of the 8th, you see it right there.
Is that Cody Bellinger on the plate?
No, that is Jake Jenkins-Coer.
And the Birdhouse is back in business. So it's a 4-run game. We've seen 3 home runs tonight. Really started with Ryder Giles dominating on the mound.
He was so good for East Carolina, in line to get his 3rd win of the season. He came into the weekend 2-0.
We mentioned East Carolina has some arms they lean on a ton. Garrett Saylor, top 5 in the country in total appearances. Now he comes on for the first time in the series. Not a save situation just yet, but certainly an important inning for Saylor.
Well, for Garrett Saylor, he hopes this doesn't turn into a save situation. It's right there, 52 strikeouts in just under 36 innings of work. Real strikeout pitcher, the right-hander Garrett Saylor is.
Saylor going to be asked to get some huge outs. 3, 4, 5 in the lineup and a leadoff base hit for Sawyer Thornhill. That is an ideal start for Wichita State.
And you would think, being in the 9th inning, down to your final 3 runs, most teams elect to go with a see a strike But Sawyer Thornhill wasting no time right there. Gets a pitch right over the middle of the plate and gets the shocker party started in the 9th with a leadoff single.
Garrett Saylor trails just Sean Rapp of North Carolina for the most appearances in college baseball with 21. Now in his 18th outing, can Saylor get himself out of some trouble here? Here's the home run hero from the 4th, Xavier Casarella, who watches a slider. Wichita State with 1 win when trailing after 8 innings. And the Shockers would love to pull one out here in the 9th. Which, if you're Eric Wedge, this is the ideal start in this 9th inning.
It is. You got your big bats up, 3, 4, and 5. Thornhill, Casarilla, and Kosis. An opportunity now just to try to string a couple hits together. East Carolina did earlier in the ballgame, putting 4 hits consecutive. Wichita State would like to do something similar here in the 9th.
That comeback win for Wichita State was against Kansas in midweek play, a 7-5 win. Part of a rigorous non-conference schedule. Louisiana Tech, top 25 Texas State, play Texas A&M, Iowa, Kansas, and Oklahoma State. Big time non-conference schedule as there's strike 3 for Saylor.
Such tight spin on the slider from Saylor. Catches the outer part of the black, and you see.
And Ryan Broussard, he's given pitchers that extra ball on each side of the plate.
And that right there, like we talked about for Wichita State and McDonough, paying attention throughout the game. Just because you don't start a game doesn't mean you don't need to pay attention. And these relievers have paid attention to that. And the both catchers for each team, Ben Newton and Ross Sedina, know the strike zone, obviously, by this point in the ballgame. So they know how far out you can go to get a strike.
The junior Garrett Saylor, he's been asked to escape this game and give ECU an opening win to start the series. Garrett Kosis, who's riding an 0-for-3 start, falls behind. And this is how Cliff Godwin drew it up. He wanted quality starting pitching this weekend. Well, Ryder Giles has definitely delivered. 7 innings of 1-run ball. Terwilliger gave up the home run, and now a base hit. Well, hold on a second here. 1st and 3rd and 1 out as the Shockers keep the inning alive.
And with the 4-run lead, you know, things are starting to get a little bit interesting here in the bottom of the top of the 9th.
Put that base hit in a perfect spot. So Kosis, his first hit of the night, now riding a 5-game hit streak. And here's Ross Cadena, who has been ice cold to start this game. But like we've seen with this Wichita lineup, any player could spark. And Cadena has a 7-game hit streak in the middle of March. That ended just last week. So he's been known to explode in moments. So as Wichita State tries to mount this comeback, no easy games coming up. Look at the amount of high-quality opponents. Oklahoma State again at Oklahoma, and then UCF, one of the favorites in the league here in the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, it does not get any easier for Wichita State.
Did he go? And he did. Eric Wedge mentioning to us this week, trying to teach this Wichita State team how to ride the roller coaster and stay even-keeled. Well, this rally in the 9th inning is a huge shine of life after the offense went dead quiet for the first 8 innings. 2 solo home runs, that's been it. And now strike 2. Ross Cadena had a coming out party against the Pirates as a freshman in 2019. Season best 3 hits. Now he faces the most sought after reliever. 18 appearances for Garrett Saylor out of the pen. And that slider's working well. 11 combined strikeouts for the ECU bullpen.
I mean, pitching has been masterful tonight for the Pirates there. And the slider from Garrett Saylor, That's his out pitch. There's a reason why he has 52 strikeouts and just 36 and change inning of work. The spin and the tightness of that slider, such a hard pitch for anyone to hit, whether you're a righty or a lefty.
Wichita State down to its final opportunity. And Seth Stroh, who's 0 for 3 in this game. The bottom third of this lineup for Wichita State, 0 for 9, and not many productive at-bats. Let's see if the Shockers can change things here in the ninth. As the Shockers are down to their final strike. Here's what's coming up for the Pirates. Road heavy the next 3 weeks. The lone home game midweek against UNC Wilmington. Second weekend of conference play. These clubs trying to make a statement here on Friday night.
And depending on how this weekend goes for ECU, who do they have coming up? UCF and Tulane, who are both at the top of the conference. The Pirates can find themselves in pole position if the next 3 weekends can go their way.
Now the 2-1 did not go. So all of a sudden here for Wichita State, chance to load the bases. Now bring the tying run to the plate. And in the ballpark that's played small in right field tonight, you never know late in this one.
Yeah, anything is possible, especially, when a potential free pass is in play.
And there's your free pass. So Wichita State brings the tying run to the plate here in the ninth. And let's see who Eric Wedge calls up in this spot against Garrett Saylor. So with a pitch hitter coming, time is called. And now ECU with Austin Knight, the pitching coach, has some things to think about with 2 outs.
Yeah, it looks like it's number 49, Peyton Toll, getting the chance. And it says he's a freshman. That is a big boy.
How about Saylor? He's been asked to pitch more appearances than any ECU Pirate arm. We had noted trying to get the save, and now he's worked himself into this save opportunity.
Yeah, he has. The slider has been his best pitch. It's how he's gotten the 2 strikeouts here in the ninth, but a couple hits, a free pass, and this ninth inning all of a sudden gets very interesting.
So we had noted how both teams lean on two-way prospects to get the job done. Here's Peyton Tolley hitting with the bases loaded. The UConn Oklahoma product could change this game with one swing. And you mentioned it, 6'6", 250. He's a dual prospect, pitches out of the pen and has tremendous power from the left side.
At this point for the rest of the weekend, I'm just going to assume that anyone that comes in to pitch for either one of these teams or comes in to hit is a two-way player, because they all seem to have the ability to do that. They just recruit athletes.
And Tolley, he's the Saturday starter, so he'll get the ball tomorrow. 2.9 ERA, and at the plate was a home run hitting machine in high school at Bethany High School in Oklahoma. He played basketball, football, and baseball all state in all 3. Oh, and what a chance to end the game at second. Boy, you have to be careful there on the bases if you're Kosas.
Especially when your run essentially does not matter out there at second base. Take a little bit shorter lead and, see if Tolley can potentially tie this ball game up.
Tolley's last home run was March 8th against Oral Roberts. What can he do 1 month to the day later? Riding an 0 for 7 hitless streak, and the confidence of Eric Wedge to bring in Saturday's starter. An arm was thrown 40 innings as a true freshman. Now gets his 52nd at-bat, and maybe his biggest here in conference play.
Yeah, the 2 home runs he has hit on this season have come in back-to-back games, back on the 6th and the 8th versus Texas A&M and Oral Roberts.
Now the 2-0 pitch. Called outside. And with nowhere to put Tolley, how about this in a 4-run game?
Yep, that's the right call. So 3-0 count now. 3-0 count. What do you think he's taking here? He's got to take, right?
A true freshman hitting with 2 outs and the base is loaded. Takes strike 1. So I imagine this next swing will look to send one into the trees and tie this game.
And the wind blowing out to right field.
Garrett Saylor inheriting a bases loaded jam. Can he secure the Pirates' first win of the series? And he has strike 2.
And with it being a 3-2 count now, 2 outs, you see Agnos over at short telling everybody, go across the diamond. Don't worry about trying to make the force play. All the runners are going to be off on this pitch.
The true freshman Tolley hitting with the bases loaded. 9th inning, Wichita State with a chance to tie it on 1 swing. Here's the 3-2. Line drive base hit. That cashes in 1 for the Shockers. And this game extends. It's 6-3.
Great piece of hitting there by the freshman. Doesn't try to do too much with the pitch out over the middle of the plate. Just hits a hard single into right field, and Wichita State in base-to-base mode right now makes it a 3-run East Carolina lead.
That's the 10th RBI of the year for the true freshman, extending this game. And now Cliff Godwin, a lot on the mind of the head coach, the reigning coach of the year in the American Athletic Conference. His bullpen has just witnessed a lead disappear on Wednesday against Old Dominion, and now things are really tight here against another pitch hitter for the Shockers, hitting with 2 outs, and again the base is loaded as Cooper Kornblum checks in. Kornblum was a triples hitting machine last year. Led the American Athletic Conference in triples as a true freshman. Had 5 triples. And man, a triple here would change the whole complexion of this one. And now Garrett Saylor can't find the zone. How about the fight of this Wichita State team? Kornblum, the sophomore, who started half the games in the outfield as a true freshman last year, would love his biggest hit here in 22. And it's 2-0. A 9th inning rally for the Shockers. 3 hits in the inning against Garrett Saylor, who is in danger of walking in a run.
And the Pirates do have another arm looking ready to go in the event Saylor's unable to get out of this.
That's the situation he's facing here. Base is loaded. He's missed the zone as much as he's hit the zone tonight. And walks in a run. So that scores Kornblum, and it's a 2-run game. What do you do now if you're Cliff Godwin?
I mean, it's such a tough decision because that 4-pitch walk turns the lineup over to Chuck Ingram, who last time at the plate hit one deep into the night over there in right field.
One area that Eric Wedge has spoken so highly of Chuck Ingram, his batting practice is next level, a major league type approach. And that's what's going to make this out so difficult for now the new pitcher for East Carolina. As here comes Cliff Godwin to make the change. We'll take the timeout for the pitching change here in Greenville. ECU trying to hang on in the 9th as they go to the pen. Well, what a save situation here for Jace Savage, the true freshman. Enters in a tight spot with the bases loaded. All of a sudden has to earn himself an opening win for the Pirates, who've let this game slip out of hand.
I mean, it's getting interesting quick here in the 9th, Evan. Going from Sailor to Yasavage now. ECU was sporting that 4-run lead going into the 9th, but a bases loaded base hit and a 4-pitch walk ended Sailor's night. So Yasavage in now to try to get the final out with the bases loaded. This is an interesting predicament now for East Carolina.
Yasavage has gone 5 straight scoreless outings in relief. But boy, do things get difficult. The red-hot Chuck Ingram hits fresh off a home run. And maybe no one better, an 8-game hit streak for the Shockers leadoff man.
I mean, like you said, Evan, there's not another guy that Wichita State would like at the plate right now with a chance to potentially tie this ball game or take the lead. We talked about it, his last at bat, he got a pitch in the lower outer half of the plate, and he didn't, all he did was go with the pitch and hit a rocket over that right field wall.
So a 2-out single followed by a walk have extended this 9th inning. And Yasavage gets the check swing there of Ingram. Wichita State has 1 win when trailing entering the 9th. That was against Kansas in non-conference play. This would be a comeback of epic proportions, trailing by 4 entering the top of the 9th. Yasavage replaces Sailor, who could not get out of the inning. So here's a save situation. Ingram has exploded here in conference play. Team best 25 runs batted in. And just the part of the order Eric Wedge would love to see at the plate. 1, 2, 3 with the bases loaded. Here's the 1-1. And a swinging strike 2.
Talk about a 12-6 right there from Yasavage. The tight spin on the curveball. And he's made Ingram, miss on both of these strikes so far with that curveball.
Bases loaded, 2 outs. A chance for Yasavage to earn the save. And this gets away. Wichita State has scored another run. And it's a 1-run game here with 2 outs. So that moves the tying run, now Towel to third. And Kornblum, he's over at second.
And Kornblum, you mentioned it with the speed, with the triples last season. Anything to the outfield, the Wichita State third base coach is going to be sending him home.
This has not been easy for ECU in game 1. Led 6-2 here in the 9th. And the Shockers have come all the way back. Now the 2-2 is taken for strike 3. Yasavage hangs on for the punch out. And East Carolina holds on to his 6-5 win.
Chuck Ingram looking for something different there. Probably the curveball from the first previous strikes. Yasavage just goes with a fastball on the inside corner. And East Carolina, a big opening series victory in Greenville.
The Pirates have won 3 of 4 to open conference play. This was not easy. This took a valiant effort from the bullpen and a team that just overcame a tough loss on Wednesday. And East Carolina bounces back to win game 1.
They did exactly that, to come back after blowing a lead like that, to hold the victory here, win 6-5. Huge win for ECU. Ryder Giles was amazing. The bats were hot. The Pirates were rolling here tonight. For
Brantley Hatridge, I'm Evan Budjevich. It was a home run party in Greenville, and the Pirate bats brought out the pork, they brought out the birdhouses, and a win here on ESPN+.